the Instagram accounts, listing them in the sheet, and what I appreciate just the team and the branching.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go to Tyler, and then we'll go to Rochelle.
What's hot? I'm going snowboarding today, so that's exciting. And then another thing that, one thing that I really appreciate is like TLA. I mean, the past like couple months and stuff been really cool. I learned a lot. So.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go to Rochelle, and we'll go to Jess.
Well, what's hot has been learning training and just being able to get like the hands-on training with it, and I appreciate the support from just everybody in the company.
All right, let's go to Jess, and we'll go to Nick.
What's hot is I'm going to Tiara's wedding today, and what I appreciate is my family.
All righty, let's go to Nick Hernandez, and then we'll go to Anthony Marino.
What's hot is Valentine's Day tomorrow. And then what I appreciate Eddie for his DM talks. It helps me out a lot.
Which DM talk?
Which DM talk?
Yeah.
Our one-on-one talk.
Okay, cool. I was like, DM talk. All right, let's go to Anthony Marino, and then we'll go to Juliana Jaramillo.
All right, what's hot is that my twin sister's softball season starts today for the first time because of COVID, so that's great. And then I appreciate my 2 dogs that I'm in charge of for the entire weekend.
All righty, let's go to Juliana, and we'll go to Lindsay.
And what's hot is that I got a perfect score on my midterm yesterday, which I studied 7 hours for. And what I appreciate is Jonathan.
All righty, let's go to Lindsay, and we'll go to Audrey.
What's hot? I appreciate setting up the summer the right way. I think that's it's an art form, and I appreciate my AM Madison.
All righty, let's go to Audrey, and we'll go to Adrian.
What's hot is I'm also going to T's wedding today, and I appreciate an education.
Yeah, education. I appreciate that too. Let's go to Adrian, and we'll go to Taylor.
What's hot? I told my family to follow my business account. That's hot. And I appreciate golf lessons and just golf sport.
Yeah, you getting better, bro?
No, tee time at 2 p.m. today. I'm gonna shoot plus 100 for sure.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I hope that, I know the 8 a.m. was a little bit earlier, but it's probably good that we're starting to get a little bit more in some earlier rising, some summer groove. And also, I like it, prefer it. You know, everyone gets the rest of your Saturday, you know, so you can pretty much still do anything that you want today, which is nice. Get it cranked out, hit it hard in the morning. You know the deal. All right, let's go to Taylor, and we'll go to Anthony Ramirez.
Okay, so what's hot is I just finished 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it was amazing. So what I appreciate is Alex being on Zoom with me till past midnight last night.
All right, let's go to Anthony Ramirez, and we'll go to Mike and Bromwitz.
What's hot is, getting the social media jumpstart going, and what I appreciate is Tampa sports as well as everyone on this call.
All right, let's go to Mason Linker, and we'll go to Chloe Corey.
What's hot? I was going to say what's hot is Tampa sports, and what do I appreciate? I appreciate my sister helping me source some SMRAs.
All right, I appreciate your sister helping you source some SMRAs. Let's go to Chloe, and we'll go to Jonathan.
What's hot is getting experience in other areas of the business. Who do I appreciate, or what do I appreciate? Probably my friends for hanging out with me on Valentine's Day.
All right, let's go to Jonathan, and then we'll go to Nick Franklin.
Okay. What's hot is our summer AM and AMs and the culture that we're building right now. And what do I appreciate? I appreciate, let's see here, Jelsis, Spencer, Juliana, Tyler, Susan. Yeah.
All right, great. Let's go to Nick Franklin, and then if Nick Dana can get his camera on, we'll go to him. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, so what's hot is going to Tennessee next weekend. Pretty excited for that. And then I appreciate being on the call early, so we get the rest of our Saturday off.
All righty, let's get ready to rock and roll, ladies and gents. So do me a quick favor. If there's any messages that you need to respond to or any communications that you need to get out, take a quick second to do that. And let's make sure we are ready and in a place to be 100% engaged as we get kicked off and rocked and rolled for today. And you guys know the drill. Leaders that are 100% engaged, they seek best practices. And I think that, again, I know you guys have seen this slide before, but this is really the intentions that I want you to be able to go into today's prep with today. It's not like, do I know kind of how to do things? Do I know how to do things enough to get by? Truly, do I know the best way to do something? Do I know the best practices? And that really will give you guys confidence. One of the biggest things, I had a good conversation with, Anthony Marino yesterday, and we were talking about just the difference between someone that is actively thinking about what they're doing versus the person that has enough understanding of what they're doing to where they don't have to be thinking about it. They're just in execution mode. Think about when you're new, Adrian mentioned playing golf, or if you're just, brand new to the sport of basketball, you're playing the sport, you're practicing, and your brain is thinking the whole entire time. You're like, all right, dribble, shoot. All right, here comes a 3-pointer. You're thinking about it. Okay, here's my swing. Let me hit it and execute. You're thinking about what to do while you're doing it when you're in those learning stages. And then there comes a point where what to do. You're just playing the game. You're just showing up. You're just making sure you're in peak physical fitness and shape, and you're mentally on point, and you're just playing the game. You're not actively thinking about what am I going to do and how am I doing it while I go about doing it. And that's the point that I want you guys to be able to get to this upcoming summer in the business. When you have an actual understanding of how the business works, the mechanics of it, you really have a deeper understanding of the business. You're not trying to think about, okay, I don't know, what am I supposed to do today? How do I do this? Do I know how to do this? It's just all right, cool. It's Monday, time to go out and execute. You know what to do. You know how to show up. And that will shorten a lot. It will allow you to show up bigger and better in what you're doing this summer. So really getting to a point where you feel like you have, number one, what the best practices are. And we're going to be making sure we go over that today. The second thing that I'm going to skip over to is having personal clarity. Having, number one, knowing what the best practices are and having clarity on that, having personal clarity for yourself, being able to make better decisions, and really being hungry for growth. Are there areas of opportunity that are better? I mentioned at the DVM call that we are the Vector East meeting with the DVM team that we had last week. Typically that is the Eastern region show, and how we typically show up to it is it's usually me listening or me speaking and hearing from the other division managers in the Eastern region as we tell the rest of the company about what we did last year to crush it. That's usually how those meetings go. And then there might be one or two people speaking from a different region or, from the Canada team. This year it wasn't as much like that, even though we still had a really strong year, and our team really went in with a growth mindset. And I'll tell you guys, again, it's the difference between seeing yourselves as a master and seeing yourselves as the beginner mindset. We all read the book as a DVM team, Legacy by James Kerr. And there's a quote in that book that says, when you're on the top of your game, it's time to change your game. And really being hungry for growth and seeing, when we hopped on there, we had to be humble and have some humility when it's we invented the SMRA program, and now there's people in other regions kicking our ass with our program that we created. And now they're doing it bigger and better than we've ever done it before. So we really have to come from a place of humility of where are the areas of opportunity that I can be improving, and how can I implement this into my office and into my business this upcoming summer. So we'll go ahead and get things kicked off from the day. I will, again, take detailed notes on today's meeting, detailed notes. Now you're going to be your personal preference, whether you like to do pen and paper or whether you like to do it on the computer, but be organized with how you take notes today. I've also forwarded the agenda 2 different times into the group chat. Here's a little quick note-taking tip, is that agenda that I've sent to you all has the breakdown for pretty much what I'm going to be going over on most of the slides from most of our speakers. So one little tip is to take notes on the actual agenda. The reason I send it to you guys in doc form and not PDF is so you can go onto the agenda and you could actually just take notes directly on there underneath of each bullet point as you go through. That's one way of doing it, or you could type it on another one, but I would have the agenda and your Zoom set up today so you're able to follow along with some best practices here as we get things kicked off. To get things ready and rock and rolling, I want to kick things off with a couple different just thoughts as we go into our upcoming prep here. And let me go ahead and pull this up so I actually have my, TLA excused. So I wanted to start off with some quick thoughts from the DVM. The first thing I think about is this book that we've been reading. You win in the locker room first. And I really want you guys to be thinking about this book is all about culture. At this point, we should already be halfway done with the book. We talked about culture, contagious, and consistent. And really the question I want you guys to be asking yourselves as you go into today, as we go into February prep right now, is what are you building? What are you building? Okay. And there's a couple quick questions that I want you to think about when I ask this is what are you building? And the first thing is like, what are you building for yourself this upcoming summer? What are you building for yourself right now? Like, and by the way, this is an important thing to think about because what you're doing right now, you're building something. You know, you what we're doing right now, and this is I'm going to say this again too. I'll probably say this multiple times today. You know, social media jumpstart and benchmarks. This is not, hey, you know, this is on who's on pace to earn a branch this summer, and you might be behind, but you can still earn a branch. This is now directly affecting your results like for the office this summer. You know, like I would view these results and these standings when Felipe posts them in the group chat. Like this is the equivalent of like these are the current branch standings. There's no sales results yet, but this is who's actually making headway on their office for the summertime. You know, so everyone has trained for months to be able to have an opportunity to be able to run an office this summer. If you're on this call, it's because you have been an individual that's accepted to run one. You know, this is your first shot now of where there's actually some competition, the first chance to actually do something for yourself, for your office, and prove that, you know, when we gave you a territory almost a month ago, that it was the right decision to give you that territory. And so really making sure that you're on point with that. Like, what are you building? What organization are you building this summer? And whether you're doing absolutely nothing right now, or you're diving headfirst into the business and really being in growth mode, you are building something right now. And I want you guys to think about and ask yourself the question, what are you building for yourself right now? Second question is, what are you building for your team? What are you doing right now this spring? What are you building for this summer? You know, and what you're doing right now is really the most important part because what you do right now is the foundation. You know, I live in Brooklyn downtown, and I don't know, some of you guys have been out to my building. We'll be doing a summer kill meeting down in probably Miami here in just a little bit. So that will be fun and be some activity. I'll keep them on the DL for now. But there's a nice building being built right next to me called the Aston Martin Residence. It's like, I don't know, $5-10 million starting price for a condo. Thing's crazy. Will be one of the tallest buildings in Miami. They've got like a personal yacht trolley. So like this mega yacht that just stays at the hotel that goes back and forth like every 30 minutes to their private beach in South Beach. You get a free Aston Martin with the unit. It actually brings you like the hotel, like car elevator. So it brings the car up to your, floor of your unit with the free Aston Martin that you get. Anyways, the thing is, it's so sick. And it's like right next door. I've been watching them build it for a long time. It's now at the point where I'm on the 41st floor. And now that building has finally gotten taller than where our floor at. So they're at like 450, 460, 470, something like that. And the crazy thing is I've only been living in my unit now for about 16 months, 17 months. When I moved in, they hadn't even started, like they were still at the ground level, right? And so literally in a year and a half, they built 450 feet of this building. In a year and a half, they built this giant, massive, what will be one of the nicest buildings in Miami, this sky rise in almost no time. But what's really important to note is that when I was living in another building across the street 2 years before that I watched them work every single day on that property and on that site for 2 years building the foundation. It was actually more like 3 years of the process. But they spent 2 years working on the foundation of that building, drilling into the ground, pouring down every single day. And for 2 years, when they spent the most time working on the building, you couldn't see anything. Every single day, I'd go out from my balcony, check down. It looked like nothing had happened. Nothing was being done. It looked like no one was working on the site outside of a couple of different construction things there as they were laying down the foundation. You couldn't see the results yet. The foundation was being built, but that was the majority of the time. And after they'd spent years working on building on that foundation, it allowed and afforded the opportunity for this basically mega skyscraper to be built overnight, in a very short period of time. But what people don't see, people always see the skyscraper, and people can see it now from all around Miami. Everybody knows that it's being built. But what people didn't see is for the 2 years where that little lot was just being drilled and the foundation was being built and the layers were being poured to allow the foundation for that mega skyscraper to be built and become an overnight success. When you see people popping off this summer and having good results, this is, I used to, when I ran one of my one of the times when I won a silver cup as a branch manager, I used to get a lot of text messages during the summertime. A lot of them asking, hey, can we get a call? What's going well? And quite frankly, I never took any of them. I would wait till the end of the summer because I was like, hey, I'm focused, engaged, what I'm doing. My people don't even get enough of my time. I'm not going to give it away to other people right now. I'd be like, hey, if they were serious, they would have asked me in the spring or in the fall last year. That was always my mentality. I'm like, I'm not going to answer your questions now because now it's my time to perform. If you were serious about learning, you would have reached out to me last fall or last spring on what I was doing to set this up this summer, not how did I have a 50 grand week last week? Well, because there's nothing I'm going to tell you on a phone call because it didn't come from something I did last week. It's came from what I did the past 12 months to set up these $50,000 weeks that are happening in my office now. And so what you're doing right now is laying the foundation for what is going to happen this summer. The people that are going to kick ass and perform this summer, it's not because of something they did this summer. It's because of what they did the fall and spring leading up into that summertime. And I want to remind you all of that. So what are you building for yourself? What's the culture and the organization that you're building for your team? And then most importantly, what are you building for, our division? This is one of those things that, keep in mind, you have a team this summer and keep in mind, you're also on a team this summer and that team is the division, and there's elements of like, here's what I'll just tell you guys. This is something I don't talk about very often, but one of the reasons why I was able to, kick ass as a branch manager is because I was in a great division. I had a great division manager and a great leader, at the time, Jeff Gamboa. And I definitely took that for granted, but, I'll tell you what, it was always like, we take it for granted that you all can send your kids to an SLDM and they come back more fired up and excited and jacked up to work with you. That's not how it works in all other parts of the company. There's certain district managers that will not send their people to events with their division manager because they lose development when they end up talking to their division manager. There are certain events and cultures where managers feel the need to run everything by themselves because actually exposing them to the rest of the division is bad for their culture of their office. They want to keep them in a bubble because it's not a good culture. It's not a good environment. One thing that really helped me in my success of running an office is the fact that I knew I could always plug people in with Jeff, that the more I plug people into the division, the more competition was going to happen, the better off they were going to do, the more they were going to succeed. And that's the opportunity that you guys have here, but it's a collective team effort. It's not just because Andrew runs a good division. It's not just because, Mike Abramowitz is a top performing DM. It's really going to come from everyone here is going to build the culture of the division that our reps are going to be able to thrive in. And that's going to either support with us or it's going to take away. Like I said, we're building the culture, we're taking away. So what I want you guys to take a quick second to do is take 2 minutes to journal here. And then we're going to do a little quick pair and share on, what are, just real quickly, it could be a couple bullet points, it could be a couple lines, but I want you to think about real quickly, what are you building right now for yourself, for your team, and for our division? What's your vision for the summer, and what are you doing right now this spring? What are you looking to build this upcoming summer in 2021? So let's take 2 minutes, jot down a couple notes, and then we're going to pair up with some partners and share, again, what you're building for yourself, for your team this summer, and for our division. And hopefully, by the way, you also want to ask yourself as you guys start working on this, is this very easy for you? Is this very top of mind? Be like, oh, boom, I know exactly what to do. Boom, 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 boom. Cool, done. That was easy. Or is this like, I've never really thought about that. And this is a good question of like, hey, we've been talking about, hey, get connected to what your vision is for the summer for months. And I'll just be honest with you, if that's not top of mind, if you can't answer these questions like, oh, like that, then you're probably not as connected to your vision as you actually think. And it's something for you to spend a little bit more time with. If these answers are top of mind, it's probably because you're very connected to the actual vision of what you have and you know what you're building. But if you don't know what you're building, you're probably building something that you don't want to build. So take a couple seconds to jot down some notes on this. I'll give you guys one more minute, and then we'll do some pair and share here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and open up into some breakout rooms. Some of y'all might fill in this one out. All you're looking to do is just share with your partner. Okay, and make sure that I'm gonna give you guys one tip for sharing. Okay, is really start to practice like being present with people when you speak. So one thing that I think is a bit major separator, like Alex just turned her call on real quickly. This is something that, I appreciate Alex for. And one reason I think she's really been great at retaining people throughout her first fall as a district manager is that she really connects with her people on a deeper level and actually gets to know them. She like is a good listener to people. So as you have people share, I think oftentimes most people are already thinking about, well, what am I gonna share? Or I need to make sure I speak this eloquently and when in my share. And you're already thinking about like what you're gonna share versus listening to them share. So really make sure that you're being a good partner in receiving and being really present with what they're saying as they share their vision and potentially offering some thoughts or, speaking to you. Actually, here's what I want you to do. So listen to their share. And after they finish sharing each of the three things, I want you to reflect back to them. No feedback or advice. Okay. No feedback or advice, but I do want you to reflect back to them. What part of their share resonated with you the most? And during which part of their share did you see them come the most alive as they talked about what they're building for themselves, for their team, and for the division? So no feedback or advice, but just reflect to them like, hey, I appreciate you sharing. And where I saw you come the most alive during that share was when you talked about this. Cool. All right, ladies and gents, we'll go ahead and open up the rooms and we'll come back in. Each person will have about 2 minutes to share, 1 minute to give feedback. Then we'll go switch over to the other person. So 2 minutes to share, 1 minute to give feedback, or like 30 seconds. And then we'll come back in about 5 to 6 minutes. Let's do it. All righty. I love 2 people to share. Maybe something that your partner shared that really resonated with you when they talked about what they're focused on building right now this spring for next summer. It could be on any of those bullet points. Like someone to share something that your partner shared that resonated with you. Yeah, Adrian, is it serious?
Come on, man. We're not doing what's how you appreciate. Of course it is.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I was talking with Anthony and it resonated with me because that's like what I see the division building and not only, but like the entire company building towards. But Anthony mentioned that he wants to build the job opportunity as not something that people like look at or something that becomes very popular in the area, but he wants to create the culture around the job being something that like everyone wants to do instead of like applying. He wants to create the vector opportunity in his area in Wesley Chapel as like the job that like that you need to be successful as a
I
student.
love that. Creating a culture of really being the premier work opportunity, not just where we are aggressive with recruiting, but people are aggressively applying just to have a shot at working in a vector office for the summer. Because anyone that's a college senior or a high school senior or a college student knows that that's pretty much the best show in town if they want to develop themselves personally and make a lot of money during the course of the summertime. Love that, Sherry Adrian. Let me go to Nick Franklin.
Yeah, so I love what I was with Chloe. I liked what she had to say for her team. She wasn't as focused on like popping off and have like a crazy year, being number one, branch of the nation. But she was like, oh, if I could have every single rep on my team say, I impacted them in a positive way over the summer, then that would be a good branch for me. And I really like that because I think that's what like the heart of the business is in, is like the people, not in the numbers.
Yep, I agree. And by the way, I was sharing with someone last night kind of my story as a vector manager. And I was just talking about, the year that we were number one, Eddie will remember this, the year that we broke the all-time national sales record as a branch. Okay. We were the number one office that year by like, I think we had like 300 grand on the next best office. to give you guys, like, we had another number one branch office on top of the second best office in the country. And that summer, no one knew we were number one the whole summer. Like, not a single person on our team knew we were the best team in the country. I didn't show them the slides ever. No one knew we broke the record when we broke the record. I didn't tell a single person. Eddie's like, wait, did we break the record? I'm like, yeah, last week. We broke it last week. Yeah, we stopped updating the board. We stopped updating the stats. And that's the funny thing too, is that when people focus on competition and being number one, they're rarely number one. They're rarely the best. When people really focus on the vision, the team, the culture, what we're doing, people get excited about building something more. The other reason too, here's a little other tip, is when you set goals and you actually hit them, people stop trying after you hit the goals. It's another reason I didn't share with them, hey, we're the best team. I didn't want them to get complacency. I was like, hey, we're still getting started. The last thing I wanted to tell them is, well, we broke the record $100,000 ago. We were focused on 700K was the mission for the summer. That was all we were talking about the whole summer. We fell short of it. We did like 683. But that was the vision for the summertime, was like, hey, we're doing 700K and here's what we get when we do that. That's why we're going out with it. And this also means we're going to break the record and probably be number one in the process. But it's more important about what we're building here. Let me go to, I'll take one more. Let me get a share from Taylor. And then I know there's a couple others, but we're going to move on.
Yeah, so Tyler and I were talking a lot about just like making it known in our offices that everything that they're learning is something that they can apply to their future, and just like them understanding that like the experiences that they're gaining can be used in so many different like assets of their life, and just like bringing that into just like the way you talk and how everything's run. Because like I personally, like within the past week, have like realized so much, like all the things that I've learned that have been like directly parallel to other things that it can help me with. So definitely after that realization, and Tyler said the same thing, just like bringing that mentality into the office.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Mr. Miyagi feeling, right? Where you've been like, waxing these cars for months, and you're like, why am I doing these stupid benchmarks? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this stuff? And then all of a sudden they start, the things start getting thrown at you. And you're like, whoa, oh, I know how to do karate. That's kind of how it is going through TLA the first year. You're like, all right, I'm learning this stuff. Yeah, this is going to go help me. And then it's only like when the challenges and the problems are thrown at you, or school gets tough, or something else happens, or something's going in your office, you're like, oh, I actually kind of know how to. Or one of your friends is like, I'm struggling with this, and you're like, actually, I know a thing or two about that. And you start to realize how far you've come on your journey. And I'll tell you guys right now, a lot of you all have learned things that have not been implemented yet into your life, and they're going to show up literally after this summer. And I'll tell you what, if you feel that way now, wait till how you feel at the end of the summer. It's like selling Cutco for the first time after you've been a branch, and you've been branching for the whole entire time. Then you go to July and it's like people sell 10 grand pretty easily. Like I remember even Rob Rodriguez, who had always struggled with sales performance up until that point in time, went out and just had his first 10 grand push as a branch manager. And he's like, dude, that was the easiest push I've ever had. It's like, just after I've been teaching this stuff for like months, it's like a no brainer. It's like, I just kind of know what to do now. I've been telling everyone how to do it for freaking months. And that's kind of how it goes sometimes. So the last thing I want you guys to think about in terms of what you're building is just, what are you building in yourself? What are you building in yourself? And I think just a good thought for you all to think about is to think about your thinking, to think about what I am thinking. And I know that sounds like strange to some of y'all, but this was a really big turning point in my life for me personally, was the day that I started to think about what I was thinking about, where I stopped being my thoughts. I stopped being like all the thoughts that were racing through my head, with all the ADHD and the super fast racing thoughts. Like I used to just be that. Wherever my thoughts were, like that's where I was at. And then there was a point in time where I started to take a step back and not be tied to every single thought that I'd have, right? And I just started to think and pay attention to them. Oftentimes people want to like control their thoughts. Well, that's actually impossible, and you won't be able to do that. Okay, but what you can do is you can be an observer of your thoughts and not necessarily be you're the one observing the thinker. right? So you're the person actually listening and observing the thinker and listening to your brain like a computer program process all these thoughts. But you're just like, I wonder where that's coming from. Well, that's an interesting thought that just rolled through, and not being attached and tied to them. But I think it's important for you to really like think about that. Think about, what kind of thoughts am I having? Are my thoughts helping me, or are my thoughts tearing me down? And it really comes down to mastering that inner voice in your head. Mastering that other version of yourself. Mastering, by the way, like we all have that little inner like bitch voice, that comes in sometimes. Guess what? I get it too, all the time. All the people that you look up to, they also have that voice running through their head. People are usually a lot harder on themselves than they would be on anyone else. Like you have things, like I always say this too, but like, there's things that like, if someone else said them to you, like in front of you about like one of your family members or a friend of yours, like you would punch them in the face if they said that out loud. But you'll say it to yourself all day long in your own head. Like, oh, you suck, like you're a piece, like you can't get anything right. Like you just have them running in and out. And I've been there too. I've done it many, many times. We all do. But mastering that inner game of actually, what are my thoughts happening? And you might still have them come off, but then you're like, all right, well, that's not the real me. The real me is in charge, and I'm putting this voice down. Like that, this is not going to have any more real estate inside of my brain, this upcoming summer. And it's something for you to think about, because you are building real estate inside of your brain for, the thought patterns that you want to have. The last thing that I really think about is this is something I've been preaching to our AM team. This is what I've been preaching about. But in the name of talking about culture, really making sure we're owning the divisional culture that we've set forth of, and our 4 kind of key pillars of what it means to be part of the Florida Coast Heat. And I really ask yourself, and these areas, how and where am I performing? And so what I'd like everyone to do for a quick second is to just jot down these 4 keys. And I want you to grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. Grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of these categories. Where are you at right now? Where is your mindset actually at? And I don't be like, yeah, I have a high performance mindset, but actually, do you have a high performance mindset? When you hear a push coming up, are you like, all right, yeah, is your thought process, oh shit, I have to sell. Oh man, I'm going to have to work. Or is it like, man, there's a push coming up. How big can I freaking go? How big could I go this go around? Right? Are you thinking, all right, what's the average I can do summer, or what's the best that's possible? Like, where's your mindset really? Are you thinking like, yeah, I'll tell reps that we sell a lot of homemakers, but if I have to go out and sell a homemaker, I'm like, or is it like, yeah, I want to figure out how do I sell 3 to 5 grand orders consistently? Where's your mindset at? Actually rank it 1 to 10. Energetic leadership. Okay. So, where's your energy levels at? On in general, not today. It's going to ebb and flow, by the way. Some days you wake up feeling great. Some days you wake up feeling like crap. Okay. But on a general average basis, when you hop onto one of these calls, what kind of energetic leadership are you showing up with? 10, you are always the leader of the energy in the room. Like you're always the most engaged in TLA. You're the most present. You're the most well prepped up. You've done whatever you need to do before the call starts to really show up present to that call. One being, it's like, I'm the person that barely makes it onto these calls. Just look like I woke up. I always feel like crap. At least I'm here, but there's a big opportunity for me. Ace Weekly, meaning consistency. How consistent are you? Are you the yo-yo man or woman? Right? The yo-yo man or woman is the person that, they're crushing it. Everything's high. And then everything crashes and burns. I made a lot of money this summer, and then I lost it all, and I'm back at square one. Now I have no money again. I was really on top of my morning routines, and I was going 100%, and now I have 0 routine, and now I can't wake up, and I feel exhausted all the time. How consistent are you with your results and how you show up in performance? Success is about shortening the distance between the mountains, shortening the depths of the valleys, and keeping yourself up more of the peaks. There are ups and downs, but what's the overall consistency level of how you show up? Consistency is the most powerful force in business and life because it builds momentum. And then true professionalism. Are you really treating this like a professional? Are you showing up professional with the way you turn in assignments, with how you respond to meetings and communications, with how important you are with meetings? And I just want you to rank yourselves 1 to 10 on each of these. And I won't have you share, but I want you to really think about, okay, this is the culture that will allow your representatives to succeed this summer. And again, we're either adding to the culture or taking away. So if you're at like a 9 or a 10 on one of these categories, know that it's really important for you to keep at a 9 and 10, because that is something that means you are adding every time you step foot into one of these calls and you're exemplifying that on that type of level, you're creating that environment and allowing other people opportunity to step into that as well. Your actions and the way that you show up is inspiring others. And if you're at like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on any of these, know that you are actually taking away from the rest of the division right now. Every time that you show up on a meeting in that way, you're actually pulling away from the culture of the rest of the division because of that. And that's an area of focus and opportunity for us as we go into the actual spring. So summer of 2021. Look, this is an exciting time. I just want to tell you guys that I've been through a lot of Vector summers, and I truly believe that we have never had the opportunity that we have as managers, really in the history of our company, that we have going into the summer of 2021. Okay. And I know if you've been around for a while, like an Adrian, Alex, Eddie, Mason, you guys, every summer is always a good summer. Every summer is the next big summer. Every summer we're trying to build an epic summer. Okay. But this summer is different. I want to tell you guys this too. And this is coming directly off of, my conversation or Al D speaking to the DVM team, and Al D's been one of our CEOs now he's been in the business for 40 years. Okay. And he said, in my career, I have probably never seen a summer opportunity like we're going to have this summer outside of 1 or 2 other years. And that was in 2008 and 2009 when the economy crashed and our recruiting opportunity went those are the 2 biggest years. That's when all the records are, by the way, is 2008 and 2009. Those years where we turned things upside down in the company outside of last year. Okay. And I want to remind you all that last year we went into the summer with a plan, and that plan got turned on its head. Okay, by the way, I've been talking about this all year, having, Stockdale's paradox, having a healthy level of reality and also, optimism about the future. Guess what? We could have something like that happen this summer. The aliens could come and take over. Okay. Little joke. Kind of. Look, but the point being is, here's the deal. We are in charge of our futures as managers. The experience that we have this summer is going to be in charge of us. Guess what? Last summer, there was a couple people that didn't make it into the summer. So when March came around and everyone said, all right, you know what? We're going to figure this out, right? There was a couple people that said, oh, wow, this is not what I signed up for. Oh, man, it's virtual. Oh, there's no way we're going to be able to connect with reps. Oh, there's no way this will work. Oh, I can't imagine branching this summer. It sounds a lot like we're not going to make as much money, or it's going to be harder. Now, granted, we had the highest profit of any branch class in history. We had the highest average of any branch class in history. Every single person that went out last summer and ran an office did pretty well, but there was a couple people that counted themselves out and they said, oh no, there's change happening. I wasn't ready for change. I was only ready to do it if it was the way I thought I was going to be. Guess what? There might be, and by the way, there's pretty much one of those every single year. There's something. Maybe it's not COVID and as big of a scale, but there will be something that throws a rock in our gear shift that we're going to have to adjust from, going into the actual summertime. But regardless, okay, we control our destiny, we control our future, and there is a bigger opportunity going into the summer 2021 than there's ever been. Because last year we had one of the biggest years ever. We had our biggest April in company history, our biggest May in company history. We had our biggest summer. We raised the Eastern region from $30 million to $40 million. Every single division raised its sales by a significant level. There was way more $1 million performers DMs last summer. Okay. And all of that was done with us out knowing what the hell we were even doing. Okay. I want to remind you all of that we created massive results last summer. That part of it was luck of the recruiting environment. And the other part is like, we were figuring stuff out in like May. Like we were still like, all right, I don't know. Let's try this. Let's try this. We don't know what the best practices are. Where does PDI fit into this schedule? How about Champions Club? How should we run that? I think this training, who else is running training this way? Like everything we were figuring out in the middle of the summer. Okay. Which is never how we go into a summertime. The difference that this summer has is that we still have the same recruiting opportunity. The job market is the same as it was last year. That massive recruiting window that we were able to take advantage of as a company last summer still exists, except the secret weapon is that we know what we're doing now. We have the best practices. We know the programs. We know what works. Okay, we can actually have a real plan going into the summer versus, all right, we don't have a plan. Let's figure it out. We'll see how it goes. Okay. And this provides us an opportunity to have a truly bit more massive and a larger summer than we've ever had in any other past summer performance time. And I want you guys really thinking big, and if you've been a manager before, the Masons, Lindsay's, Audrey's of the world on here, just know that this summer is a bigger opportunity than we've had in previous summer times. And as a manager, like, you might not ever have an opportunity that exists like this upcoming summer, the recruiting climate that exists this upcoming summer, and any other summer in the future. It might not come again for another 20 years. It could last longer. Who knows? This whole COVID stuff, no one really knows. No one knows. Okay. But what I know is that we're going to have a truly epic summertime, and that's going to be based on the way that we actually show up this upcoming summer. But there's a massive opportunity for us, and that means go big. Like, work hard this summer. There's always a timing thing of like, hey, being the right place, the right time. Y'all are here at the right place at the right time. There's been 15 years of branch managers. Not everybody's had the same opportunity that you're going to have this upcoming summertime. You're in the right place, right time. You've got to apply yourself, though, and actually take advantage of that and make sure you're going in and creating the results that you want to have this upcoming summer. That means also I'd be aggressive with like my investment into programs, like this is one of those summers where it's like, hey, when you can get more return, right? Like, it's like the idea of like, hey, you spend more money on ads during the holidays and Black Fridays. You invest more into your business during that time because there's a small window where you're going to get a higher return on that investment and those advertisements than any other time out of the year. Same thing's true for this summertime. Same thing's true with the way we invest into our SMRA program. Same thing's true with why we're going big with Growth to Success and helping us support our social media programs. Same thing is true, which is why we're trying to get our hands on as many social media accounts this summer. How big can you go for the summer of 2021? And as I wrap up opening comments here, I want to give you guys some quick, tangible, real thoughts on how to prepare for the summertime. If you want to have an epic summer, what is created by that? And the first thing I want you guys to write down is mission is 100 recruits. Recruiting is the answer, 100 recruits. That needs to be, if I'm a branch manager this summer or a new DM, now I might be going for bigger than this, but that really needs to be the focus. If you can get 100 recruits out this summer, you will run a kick-ass office this summer. You can mess up a lot of stuff, but if you remember recruiting is the answer, you will have a successful organization and a performance this upcoming summer. And I want to go ahead and share this with you all. I'm going to share these slides from Florida Caribbean. Okay. And while we had a great and a very high performing branch class last summer, okay, the number one branch class in Vector was Florida Caribbean. And that's our goal for this upcoming year. Okay. But they were the number one branch class in Vector marketing last year. And I want to share with you all some stats from this group to really help you all, I guess, get a deeper understanding and make sure that we're focused on the right things going into the summertime. Okay. First thing. So these are the division averages. Oops. Okay. And the top performing divisions and their branch manager sales. Okay. 150 grand is our goal for the average branch manager this summer. Now we have 10 offices. So 150 grand, if we could pull off 200 grand, that'd be great. But I think 150 grand is a pretty damn good average for 10 offices across the board. But I want to let you look at this. Okay. Florida Caribbean's average, their average branch last summer did 213K. Okay. That means their average branch manager made about, probably 30 grand or so for the summertime, with a 200K branch office. Here's some other things to look at though. Okay. Number of offices, total recruits, average number of recruits. Okay. We're right here, Florida Coast, 7 offices, total recruits, 399, average recruits was 57. Us making the move from 57 to 100 is going to be what's the make or break difference. And we have the opportunity to do that. There's a bigger recruiting window. Recruiting 100 people in a physical office is a lot more challenging than recruiting 100 people virtually. It just is. The management, the organization, sometimes when we used to have branch offices, we were always limited by the physical space that you had. When I went to Boca Raton my first summer as a branch, I had a 600 square foot office that I paid almost $2,000 a month for. That was limiting. I could only really do so much. My training was full every week. Okay. I would get nervous about going big with recruiting. They're like, go big with recruiting. I'm like, I don't have any space to hold people. Like, where am I going to run meetings? There's like, I can't have any more people. There ain't no limit on Zoom. Okay, and we can go big with recruiting this year. So focusing on 100 recruits, that's going to be the make or break difference. Here's some other things I want you guys to pay attention to, okay? This is the actual branch class performance. So Port Charlotte is 75 grand, 111 grand, 152 grand, 280, 285, 393. So Naples, Ponce, and Hugh Macau. Okay, by the way, this goes back to your territory, doesn't matter. Hugh Macau and Ponce, they had never done more than 100 grand in a summertime. I think Hugh Macau was like the biggest summer before this was like 40 grand, to give you guys some perspective. Number 2 branch in the company last summer. Territory doesn't matter. So these were the performance. These are the standings of where they were actually at. Okay, and here's what's the other things to look at. These are the recruits for the campaign. Hugh Macau had 86 recruits. Ponce had 239. South Miami 94. Naples 76. Okay, and these are just examples, but again, it's and look at the one branch in their division that sold a little bit less than everybody else, only had 33 recruits for the summertime. If you can focus on getting 100 recruits, 75 to 100 plus launch for the summer, you're gonna run a successful office that summer. It's guaranteed. Okay, and then these are examples of their profit that they had here as well. In Macau, $50,000 for the summertime. This is after expenses. Ponce, 26,000. Naples, 37,000. By the way, I want you guys to point out, you guys notice how these numbers are a little bit different? Okay. This is actually, which I'm wondering if these are switched because they went big for recruiting. This is called expense control management. Okay. Everyone's making the same overrides off of sales, but people are spending different money on their expenses. Okay. So it's something to be important thinking about, which I'm really surprised how Naples has someone.
That I can tell you how, but
yeah, I don't want to know how. Yeah. All right. Anyways, look, recruiting is the answer. The other thing that I want you guys to focus on, okay, is I also had mentioned this too, is the way to ensure your recruiting results is going to be through what? What's the number one thing that you can do as a manager to ensure your opportunity and your recruiting results this summer?
Your fire number, committing to that.
Your personal fire number, exactly. Okay, so Alejandra Carrasco, who was the number 2 branch in the company last summer, all right, she did 380 grand. Just so you all know, hear this out. 350 grand came from people that she personally spoke to on the phone to set up for interviews. 350,000. Okay, so this is the number that is the make or break between some people's performances, especially in their first summer. When people are like think about it this way, you have 30 grand that will come in from web mailers and Craigslist. Basically consider that. So branches that do like 50 grand, it's because they basically personally recruited about 50 grand worth of CPO in business on the phones. The people that crush it are people that personally spoke to way more people and set up way more results in their actual office. Just keep in mind that when you set 20 PRs, that's like assistant manager setting 40 PRs in your office. When you set 20 PRs, that's like SMRA setting 60 PRs in your office to get the exact same results as you would from setting 20 of them. Okay, you guys, and that would be a $700 worth of paychecks that you'd stroke out to SMRAs for those 60 people. We're like, oh, my time's not worth, 20 PRs. It's like, well, I mean, is it worth $700 to you? And that's not even including the results that you make from it. That's just saying, hey, or would you rather pay someone else to do it for $700? Or do you want to own that program? So I'm going to stop there and come up for some air real quickly. I want to also turn things over. So that's the first focus. If you want to have an epic summer of 2021, we got to make sure that number one, we're focused on getting and building to 100 recruits. Okay. I also want to go through real quickly the agenda for today. So we're starting off with some opening comments, and what I'm going to wrap up on the back half of this is some keys to a great summer. And then we'll go to a quick break here. We're going to have a PDI message from Eddie de las Cuevas. Then we will also have we're going to do a review of the PR program. I'm going to walk you all through the daily schedule. We're going to go through the big 3 objectives of each day, the schedule overview, and essentially what you're going to be doing on each and every single day during the summertime. And we'll be doing a final A to Z review on the SMRA program and how to attack it and be ready for the actual summertime here. So let me come out for air real quickly. What's 1 or 2 light bulbs that people are having so far? Or people everyone take a quick second to jot down some light bulbs and post them into the NLG chat. Post your biggest light bulb or 2 from us kicking off this morning. How about one or two people share? What's a light bulb for you as we're kicking off here?
Yeah, I'll go first. Light bulb, biggest light bulb, biggest takeaway, and this is just from experience, is really what you were saying about that set number. Man, that is easily the most important thing to think about for recruiting, and especially just the fact that now we're going into what can easily be probably coined as potentially the best summer in vector history, in vector company history. There's just so much on the table as far as recruiting goes, as far as the opportunity to have a massive summer, as far as the opportunity to hit your goals, that it would be insane not to prepare the way that you need to, and not to go out and crush it. Like we know that everybody here on this call has the opportunity to. I'll add in one thing as well. I remember something that Andrew taught me last year was that the team that you recruit, the recruiting that you build up until SC1 is really the team that's going to be locked in and stays with you for the rest of the summer. So, just biggest thing. And I saw that for myself this last sprint. So biggest thing is hitting recruiting hard. And that PR number every week that needs to be hit.
Yeah, Jonathan, do you know how much how much of your sales is somebody did like 200? How much?
230, something like that.
Yeah, how much of that probably came from people you personally spoke to on the phone as PRs?
Probably like 200.
I can already name all your reps that I know you personally recruited, and that's already like 180 grand right there just from
yeah, and everything that came from our summer was set for my PR, my fire number, every single thing.
By the way, and I think it's really important for people. I know we're hitting this on the head, and we'll continue to hit this on the head because it's very, very easy for you to forget that during the middle of summer. Once you start having a team and be like, yeah, but I've got to manage my team, and you forget, well, what it created this team in the first place. What is the activity that was consistently will bring me in the most results, the highest return on my investment of time? It is setting your own personal PRs. It just is. It's like, wow, but I could close this homemaker sale right now for half an hour on the phone with this customer, or I could set 5 PRs and have another stud in my office this summer that's going to go out and sell another 15, 20 grand. Your decision, and you're going to have to make those decisions this summer. And it will be very, very easy to have a lot of other things to do and prioritize other things and find a way to not get this done. But I think we as a team are going to find ways to get it done here. So I'm going to keep going on here just for time's sakes. Okay. So let's dive in. I want to give you guys some real quickly. We're going to take maybe 5 or 10 more minutes to wrap this up, and we're going to go to break. Keys to a great summer. I want to make sure that you guys all have notes on this, and I would take notes, either copy and paste the agenda. Each of these slides is going to be going off of that directly. First key to a great summer. Okay, this is how you ensure your summer. It's always a different summer, but this is not theory. This is not chance. This is not even an art form. Okay, this is a science. This is a science. You hit these programs, you do, most of these things well, you're going to have a great summer. That's it. This is what's important. Okay. And I want you guys to be thinking KRAs versus noise. Who can tell me, who knows what a KRA stands for? What does that stand for? The acronym. We love acronyms here. KRA or a KPI.
Got that. Your key performance index? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's that one.
Okay.
So key
so key recruiting.
Oh, yeah. Key results areas. Okay, key results areas. That's what KRA stands for. So these are the areas. It's KRAs. What's important versus what's all the noise. Okay, I'm going to give you all the lists right now. Everything if it's not on this list, it's noise. It's not important. You don't need to worry about it. It's something maybe to think about, but it's not what's going to affect your performance this summer. Okay, it's not what's going to be the make or break difference between your CPO, between your income, between your profit. It's not going to affect that stuff as much as you think it is. It might be cool, might be important, might feel good, might not be important. These are the KRAs. First one, okay, is social media jumpstart. There's a reason we call it jumpstart. This is not one of those things, well, oh, I didn't do it this spring, but I'll get it fixed this summer. This is your jump start to the summer. This is, I'm working on now getting a head start on kicking off my office the right way. Okay, the social media, we're going to have things like mailer programs and other things that we'll go through. But this is really our only opportunity to seriously, Peanut. This is really our only opportunity to be able to bring the summer forward. This is how we do it. You have two ways to bring the summer forward: social media and assistant managers. Most of you all will not have assistant managers this summer. Your opportunity to bring the summer forward is with and through social media jumpstart. Okay. Second thing that I want you guys to have down is SMRA staffing. SMRA staffing. Sorry, can you guys hear that barking? Get a dog in here.
Nah, don't even hear it. Keep going.
Don't even worry about it. SMRA staffing. Okay. Look, I'm going to give a little bit more thoughts on SMRA staffing a little bit later here, but all right, hold on, guys.
Happened to me once during an interview. Sucks.
Okay, guys, this is a little Zoom tip. Yeah, don't be in a place where there's dogs if you're running your office this summer, and also make sure you have good lighting, like I don't have right now. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, so that's why we're in a different situation here. All right, SMRA staffing. She's done. Threw outside. SMRA staffing. What I want you guys to be thinking about in terms of SMRA staffing is making sure we're really going big, and I think expansive about this. One thing I think sometimes people take, I know there's some funnies going around right now. Everyone come back to earth a little bit, and let's make sure we're really focused here. We got a couple more minutes. We got to be thinking about going all out with our SMRA hiring this summer. As a branch manager, I literally want you to be thinking about, how do I hire 20 SMRAs this summer or more? 20 or more. As a district manager, how do I hire 30 or more SMRAs at least? Okay, and that's not like I haven't given the scientific number yet of how many you should actually be focused on, but our SMRA program is for creating networks. Okay, I would kind of say it's probably a 20-80 split. 20% of your SMRAs are to support with some PR calling, but 80% of it should be to help you create new networks and give you those people that you're setting for your personal fire number. Your best people should be set by you, and they should be coming from your SMRAs during the summertime. That's the way to get this thing rolling. And I want to remind you all that you can hire big without spending big. Okay, the direction that people should be going is like Trey Ketchum, for instance, has 20 SMRAs that are active in his office right now for the spring. The most that one of his SMRAs, his highest paid SMRA got paid $100 for the week. Everyone else got paid like $50 or less. Most of them are working 3 to 5 hours a week. That's it. He's got 20 of them on staff and payroll, helping to create networks, all from different schools, all from different markets. Okay, you don't need to pay out thousands of dollars. And I've been there before too, where I've been nervous to take on more SMRAs because I already have a lot of SMRAs and I don't want to be paying out more money than I'm already paying out. But really being in a mindset of let's lower the hours, incentivize these girls to be able to go into a sales performance role and make sure we're focusing on being aggressive with tapping into markets. Your objective this summer with SMRA staffing is to have 2 girls from every single high school that you have in your territory and market. 2 girls recruited as SMRAs from every single school that you have in your market. That should be your goal and your objective this summer as you go about SMRA recruiting. And let's think bigger with this. Not just, all right, can I get a girl with over 1,000 followers that went to school in my area? How about, can I get the most popular people in my entire, territory area? Can I get the top people from every single school and every single market? Can I really be building and tapping with the SMRA program? Next thing is really rocking your PR program, which we're going to do a review of today. Okay, the PR program, this is your fuel inside of your car. If you are crushing your PR program, it's like having an unlimited supply of gasoline for that car. You can drive it wherever you want to go for the summer. If your PR program is broken, it's like trying to have a vision of where you want to go, this nice old car that's going to help you get there, but there's no fuel or gasoline inside that thing. So it's going to sit there and not move for the summertime. Your PR program is your fuel. Are you able to get names and numbers 150 consistently average from your PR talk and training? Are you able to create new numbers through, workshops and triple threats and three-way text? Okay. Do you actually have a team of people, yourself included, with some SMRAs that are helping you set 60 plus PRs on a weekly basis? And as your conveyor program, are you actually sending PRs to conveyor on a weekly basis to help add an extra layer on top of your current PR program? Last two things to be really good at is, okay, social media jumpstart, want to get good at that. SMRA staffing, you want to get good at that. PR program, you want to be good at that. There's only a couple other things that I have on here. Seminar support, being able to actually support the seminar. Last year I ran training for 4 offices, and I would have some offices on Friday night, they came in with 10 people and there's now 1 person that they have left in training. I'd also have offices on the exact same training that I ran, the same one, that had 11 people in day 1 and they have 10 people finishing training at the end of day 2. Okay. The difference was not the training. Everyone sat through the same training. The difference was the way that their interviews that they had before with those people and the way they showed up into that actual training, the way that they supported the seminar, the way that they facilitated, the way that they connected with their people. Were they kind of sort of there, or were they really there, in the actual training? Last few things is first 10-day management. Your ability to really manage your team and walk them through the first 10 days of the fast start, your ability to drive Champions Club attendance during the summer. How many people do you have in your average Monday morning meeting in Champions Club during the summertime? That's what I'd be thinking about. How many people do you want to have? And the last thing is the attendance to events, getting people to your SLDM, getting people to the division events, getting people to the regional events. So that's really all you guys got to think about. It's those are the keys to a great summer. If there's something else that you're worried or stressed about right now that is not on this list, stop stressing about it. Stop worrying about it. It's not important. Okay, I'm telling you guys right now, if it's not on this list, it's probably not important for you right now. This is probably not something that you need to have your energy going to. If you're thinking about, my team name or my team logo or what am I going to have? Or just like, if it's not on this list, it's probably not important right now. And it's not going to affect your results and your paychecks this summer. The objective of the branch is to get experience of running your own business and to have the profit potential, being able to make income during the summertime. So let's really break it down and make sure things are simplistic this summer. Elegance and simplicity. I'm going to preach this all summer long. Okay, this whole entire year, we've been talking about what are the best practices. We've talked about innovations. We've talked about the next best programs. There's no more innovations, okay, that are happening this summer. There aren't any innovations. There is nothing else you need to figure out, okay? Eddie's on this call right now. Eddie's been working on a Google Drive that's going to be given to our division in March. And there will be a document for literally everything and anything you could possibly want as a manager. How do I have this PC? Well, it's in the folder. How do I run training? It's in the folder. How do I run Champions Club? It's in the folder. How do I do an SMR interview? It's in the folder. Literally everything you could possibly ever want will be in this folder set up for you this summertime. It is cut, play, plug and play. Everyone's going to be on the same programs. Everyone's going to be on the same systems. Okay. And everyone will be on the same page this summer. And I think that's really, really important to note, by the way, because I know there's some people in here that, you're very on the CVI scale. There's actually a lot of you all that are very much more like innovators. Okay. And that's great. And there's a time and place for innovation. It's called the fall. It is not during the summertime. It is not in the spring as we're getting ready to launch into the summertime. Olympic athletes train all year round and all they do is work on their weaknesses. But about 6 months out from the season start, they forget all their weaknesses and they pour all their energy into their strengths, what they know, what they're good at, what are rocks. Not the arts, but the science. They know they can rely on this stuff. They know it works and they show up and do that. There isn't any more testing to be done this summer. There's no more figuring out. We'll give you the programs. You have the support. But it's really important. Like, there's a lot of you all on this call. There's more new managers. We have 11 new district managers, 10 new branch managers. Okay, that's a whole lot of new in that mix compared to how many vets there'll actually be. And I just want to tell you guys right now too, that like, if you are someone that desires to do something different than what the rest of the division is doing this summer, that's fine. You can do that, but you won't be having any conversation. You won't receive any coaching or support from me or anybody else in the division. Okay. Just because I can't help you if you're doing something different than everybody else is doing. We all got to be on the same page. If you want to be able to divisional support, if you want to be able to have conversation with me and we can dissect what's going wrong in your business and what needs to be improved, it's kind of like, again, you have certain variables and you have to account for them. If you have a bunch of extra added in variables that no one else is doing because you're running things differently, well, I'm not going to know how to fix your problems or fix your challenges that you have this summer because I don't know what you're doing because you're doing different things than everybody else is doing. So, really there's power in being on the same page. And I'll tell you guys right now, like, I always was very independent from Jeff when I ran my office and division, but there were certain things I would talk to Jeff about and I'd be like, I kind of like the way we do it better. And I'm just going to do it on the divisional program because my people are going to do better being on the same page as what every other person in the division is going to be than, me thinking this is a slightly better way to do it, but it's going to throw them off from what the entire rest of the division is actually doing. When they go to an event, they're going to be more confused because, Jeff and me are not speaking the same lingo. When they talk to other reps in the division, they're like, oh, that's kind of weird. We don't do that. I wanted them to be, there's elegance and simplicity. Okay. And really figuring out how to just rock and show up this upcoming summertime too. So last few things that I'll give you guys before we wrap up, some opening comments. Oh man, I always go over here. All right. Real quickly, a few thoughts. Train hard now. Okay, train hard now. I'll send this schedule template, okay, to that I sent to Anthony Marino. This is something that Tyler Tarmy made a couple weeks ago, but just kind of a daily schedule. And I had the same conversation with Tyler as I had with Anthony, and I'll just send what I sent both of them in the NLG chat. But it's like, hey, if you're a district manager right now, you're not in a school, like your career starts today, not in May. It started already. You already got promoted as a district manager. You should be working 40 hours a week right now, at least in the Cutco. You don't need to put in 60, 70, 80. You don't need to grind. You just need to actually treat this like it's a damn job. Okay. You should be investing 40 hours a week, worth of work a week into your schedule and into your time. So part of it is just creating a schedule, having an hour in your schedule every single day to be aggressive about watching videos, about watching training, about growing yourself, about being a student of the business, time every day set aside to do social media jumpstart. Some of you all can't rock this schedule. You're in classes too, but can you really actually take some time to incorporate and make a commitment from now until the summer starts of what you're going to do to affect your training? Train hard now. Last few thoughts. I just want to give you guys some calendar reviews and some schedule reminders here. Okay, so we have our A Squad Zooms that will be happening. We'll resume those this Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. each and every single week. And then we have our divisional kill meeting will be our next monthly meeting, the weekend of March 19th. This will be a live event. Okay, everyone will be expected to be at this event live. The details will be TBD. They should be out to you in the next week or two. And it will probably take place in Miami or someplace in South Florida. So for this one, we've done a lot of West Coast events. I think it's might be time for doing one in the South Florida part. So that will happen there. So I'll give you guys updates. We're either going to be staying at a nice Airbnb and it'll be like a house Airbnb. We'll do the event there, or we'll get some hotel rooms in Miami and might be able to do some things. Might do a DM day on the yacht that weekend. We'll see. But there'll be some fun parts. Here's the kind of the agenda for it, by the way, just so you guys have it. This is last year's agenda. Okay, so last year we flew the DMs in a little bit early. So there was a vet DM session. Okay, that was just for the veteran DMs that past year. Then what we do is a group CAP session. So a CAP stands for Campaign Action Plan. A CAP session is something that all of us will do one-on-one or in a group of 2 people, and we'll sit down for a couple hours and map out your business plan for the whole entire summer. There was a time period at which we did these caps and they would last like 8 hours for each person. Okay. And then we realized, and this is just a little tip for you all, just like when you're doing PCs, if there's a part of your PC that you're going to repeat and say 20 times with every single person and walk through the exact same thing, then do that thing in a group and then spend the 15 or 20 minutes that you need one-on-one with each person. So you're not taking 20 minutes to repeat the same thing over and over and over again, people. So our caps are more like 2 to 3 hours now. I'm just like working on the stuff that is more important for just you and your scenario. And then we do like a group cap session of like, hey, here's the things that everybody needs to know. Everyone needs in their calendars and their schedules to set up to have an awesome summertime too as well. Then we'll do a general session that will be kind of like a TLA prep. We'll be reviewing some things. Because we are live, we will be doing some drills for skills and some boot camps while we are actually there and at that event. And then we will have it'll probably be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event with, we start like midway through the day on Friday. We have a full day on Saturday. We'll do like a team night on Saturday for the whole team. And then we'll probably have something on Sunday for a certain group of people that will also do like a fun day event. But this is this will be our first time ever getting live together, period, as division. And I think there's some power in community and getting people physically around each other. So I really am excited to be able to do that. I'm actually really, really excited to do that. I'm actually jacked up. I was just watching videos of people in person and got me excited, got me thinking. Here's some reminders on some dates. Eddie, can you take a quick photo of this and send it to the group chat? Appreciate that. And last few things is before we update, okay? I just want to make sure that you're looking at the TLA prep today and thinking about what light bulbs do I want to have? What light bulbs do I want to take from today's message from TLA prep? And make sure that you're going into things the right way. Social media jumpstart benchmarks. As everyone knows, this is due by Monday. We've talked about the importance of this. Make sure that you're ready to rock and roll and you have at least 500 on that spreadsheet. I've messaged you all if I'm concerned. If you're on pace right now, let's just make sure we're over that 500 mark, and shout out to the people that are already well over 500. When we come back, I'm going to have at one point in the break a little getting out of finals early discussion. So I'm going to table this right now, but that's something that's really, really going to be important this year if we're going to pull the actual summer forward. And the last thing is just make sure we're getting ready to rock and roll for March Madness. The calendar has been sent out and submitted. Starting this past Thursday, our push PCs already began. So everyone's got to make sure there's a new divisional gunner chat. What I'd like everyone to do is during the break, we'll have a 10-minute break. Make sure that you get added to that gunner chat. So check it with your manager. We're pairing up with Florida United and Florida Coast to do this push. So we'll have one chat that everybody's in to get a little bit of extra camaraderie, competition, and some heat infused into the division here. So next week, you guys should be doing push prep workshops in your office. This is a good chance, by the way, number one, if you need to get some skill set work to work with your manager, or if you feel really good about it, then this is a good chance to step in. This is exactly what we'll do during SE1 and SE2 next summer. So stepping in and actually running it for yourself. And March Madness starts on the 1st and it will go to the 15th. Okay. So, and then we have a division meeting on the 24th. Eddie, if you could send a photo of this one too, that'd be great. Okay, so push PCs begin this upcoming week. We've got 2 weeks basically to set this up. A week from this Wednesday, we'll have our division meeting from 4 to 6:30 p.m. On the 24th, that will be Florida Coast and Florida Caribbean. And then we'll start what should be an epic March Madness push. This push is what will bring us forward into the summertime. How we show, I will know how this division is going to perform this summer on March 15th, March 18th or 19th. Seriously. You know, it's the same reason I know I can look at AM teams and tell you how that district manager office is going to perform. I'm going to know how we're going to do this summer based off of how we come out of this push. And I think this is our opportunity to feel really, really good and either gain some confidence or give us some worries if we don't execute it the right way too. So do a PC. You guys know the drill. Post in the group chat. We'll get this all stuff set up. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. It's 9:25. Come back at 9:35. Okay, take a quick second to jot down whatever light bulbs you have, and then make sure that you have been added to the gunner chat already, please, before the end of this break. Okay, so check in with whatever manager or someone that's in there that can add you in, and take a quick second to jot down your light bulbs, post in the chat. We will restart at 9:35, and Eddie will kick us off here. So good with timing on these, dude.
Nailing it. It's like Alex in training yesterday.
Wow.
Sometimes I really never have any idea how long, like, you know, I'm a good frame of reference. I'm like, all right, that's like 50 slides. That will take
like 30 minutes.
Sometimes I'll do when I'm like planning 45 minutes and I'm like, that was 10 minutes long. Like, damn. It's like 45 minutes and I'm like, I got like 2 hours.
Like, Yeah. DVM life. Opening comments, baby.
I think I make about 200 slides a week. Like literally, like this one was probably like 150, and then there's like another 50 that I make. Probably.
I gotta say though, I love the slides.
I'm getting good at it. I make it fast. I cranked out this whole 100-slide keynote in about an hour yesterday.
That's actually pretty damn fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's really fast.
I was like, all right, 100 slides. Here we go.
No.
Now, by the way, the tip is I already have typed out in my notes exactly what I want to cover beforehand. So I'm just taking that and then turning it into the keynote real fast. So I'm not creating the talk with the keynote. I've already created the talk and then I turn it into a keynote. Little tip. I'm gonna get some water before we start back up again.
Andrew, do you want? Someone's got me on an echo. All right, never mind, not anymore. All right. So thank you again so much, Mr. Evans. I'm really excited to get into this talk. And also, Mr. Evans, if you could please make me a co-host so I can do any screen sharing. As we get rolling for today, everybody, obviously as per the agenda and as Mr. Evans mentioned, I'll be going through ongoing PDI and WhatsApp best practices. So when I was formulating this message, first, I really want to frame how we're going to go through it between these two. And when I was formulating the message, I was trying to figure out a best way that I could propose or put forward a proper framework for everybody, just because ongoing PDI or anything after the first 10 days can be rather vague. It can be a rep that had a really crappy first 10-day fast start and they're out of $1,000 in sales or less. Or it could be the rep that had a 10K fast start, or maybe they're in the job for 2 months and you have a 20K rep. How do you coach a 20, a 30, a 40, a 50K rep to get to 30, 40, 50, 100K? So that's really what I want to put in front of us. And so with that, to get us started, I'm going to start by playing a video. So it's on developmental psychology. I want to help give everybody some basic understandings that I have, or at least how I conceptualized PDI as an assistant manager, as a DOM, and as a branch, and then as a DM. So this is all framed around developmental psychology. And then from there, I want to propose framework. So if you've ever watched Crash Course on YouTube because you were cramming for an exam, you're probably going to love this video. And for context, I will also be pausing this video at various points throughout it so that I can create arcs or parallels or contextualize this especially. And Audrey just messaged me that she watched it because I had suggested it to her. So this is awesome. So let me go ahead without further ado, raise up your volume because this is on the growth of knowledge and frameworks for developing great leaders.
Even though you can't see me, you know that I'm here talking to you. And I can probably persuade you that this container of water and this container of water have the same amount of water, which they do, even though they don't look like they do. And you'll see I left my anglerfish behind me. If someone were to move it without my knowing, you'd rightly expect me to look for it first where I originally left it. You can figure out all these things because you are far down the path of cognitive development. Your parents will be proud. But there was a time in your life, well, in all our lives, when simple concepts like these were totally baffling. Of course, lots of things influence how your mind and its relationship with the world grows over time. Both our genetics and our environment begin to affect our development long before we're even born, and they continue to influence our learning until the day we die. And even though we're born with nearly the same number of brain cells we'll ever have, our complete set of brain hardware takes years to solidify as our neural networks grow more complex. The study of our physical changes, cognitive, social, and emotional changes throughout our whole lives from prenatal to preteen to post-retirement is called developmental psychology. It's how we grow into who we are. And it begins with the growth of knowledge itself, the process by which you matured into the anglerfish tracking, water beaker estimating, peekaboo master that you are today. As we age, we tend to follow a sequence of changes in behavior and appearance called maturation. Everyone's affected differently by their personal experience, of course, but we all share inherent genetic growth tendencies. We roll over before we sit before we stand, and we stand before we walk before we break dance. The same thing applies to our cognitive development, how we learn to think, know, remember, and communicate. And if you're gonna talk about cognitive development, you gotta start with Jean Piaget, developmental psych.
So really quickly, right there, what he's talking about, especially his maturation. I'm going to talk about this after the video, but there are 3 factors, because when you need to distinguish what you can or can't speak to a certain rep about yet, because you don't want to talk about selling kitchens to a 3K rep, right? But you also probably don't want to go over, ideally you can go into deeper things when you're dealing with a 20 or 30K rep. So this is where milestones and career milestones truly do mean something. So continuing on.
Biologist extraordinaire. Piaget was from Switzerland, where he was kind of a wonderkind and got his PhD in zoology in 1918, began dabbling in Freud's psychoanalysis. After graduation, he headed to France to work on a method for testing children's aptitudes and abilities. While administering these tests, Piaget began to notice how younger kids kept giving wrong answers to certain questions. He became fascinated by the fact that children of a certain age consistently made particular mistakes that older kids and adults didn't. Like the younger kids.
An easy way to understand this is why you need to understand the objection cycle, but when you're especially dealing with reps, you will often get relatively almost identical things. It's the same thing with your sales demos. Same thing selling a cut or selling a customer or selling a rep. They are going through the exact same mental processes, so you need to be able to be mindful of that.
Have a really hard time understanding that idea I just showed you, that this container has the same amount of water in it as this container, or that this row of coins has the same number as this row. While others might have dismissed these as childish mistakes, Piaget theorized
that little difference there, the different types of coins, this is where you can get a rep and how you can handle any reps that believe or look at others like, oh, they're just better at the job. It's like, no, they're not better at the job. They just did a lot more demos and have put in a lot more orders. So it seems like they've sold 40 grand, seemingly like nothing, but they've also just made 40 times the amount of calls that you have.
was because humans go through specific stages of cognitive development and intellectual progression. His main game was asking, how does knowledge grow? He proposed that as we grow and struggle to make sense of our experiences, we create schemas, or mental frameworks that help interpret information.
All right, I need you to go ahead and write down this, because this is going to be the cornerstone to the reason why I'm playing this video, the rest of the coaching that I can provide to any of you, and the coaching that you will then provide to all of your reps. So you've probably already heard me talk a lot about framing or frameworks. Schemas would be the technical psychological definition. This is why I go over with y'all. What are the 7 steps to a sale? What are the 4 fundamentals? What are the 4 reasons why sets? What's the objection cycle? What are the 3 reasons why reps sell? All the different frameworks in which you can coach people through that allow people to help interpret the information you are trying to give them, or interpret the value of coaching you're trying to give them. This is why when Mr. Evan talks about having our standards and whatnot, and this is why we preach to reps, hey, follow the manual, because if you don't have a framework, I have no idea how to troubleshoot you.
Schemas are like concepts ranging from physical things like birds and hats and eye patches to abstract ideas like friendship and betrayal. And we're constantly striving for cognitive equilibrium or harmony between our thought processes and our environment.
So Mr. Evans also talked about this as well, and you'll also hear this remarked by other great managers, but cognitive equilibrium, easier way that you can in Cutco context understand it is congruency or consistency within your message. From the point of the PR call to the interview to training through their fast start and beyond, how much harmony is there? How consistent is the message? You know, have you guys been saying the same things, or does it seem all chopped up and not consistent? We need to be able to create and foster cognitive equilibrium. In this case scenario becomes our systems,
which are always giving us new things to think about and adjust to. Piaget proposed that we adapt to new experiences through 2 processes that are closely related: assimilation and accommodation. When we assimilate new experiences, we interpret them in terms of our existing schemas. So if a toddler has never seen a deer but has a schema for horse, she may call the first deer she sees a horsey. She wants to fit it within her understanding. But with more interactions in the world, our minds expand to accommodate or adjust to new experiences. So soon enough, that kid realizes that deer aren't just horses, and she adjusts her schema. From there, she'll be able to tell the difference between Bambi and Black Beauty in no time. But our knowledge...
So there's assimilation and accommodation. The great example I'll give to you on this is Kathy Orr. Kathy Orr is a little bit outside of the realm of how all of you are, because granted, she was not a college student. She was a 56-year-old mother, And so with that, when she was coming in, she was trying to assimilate herself into the culture, assimilate herself into the job, assimilate herself into understanding how to deal with people and work with people. But she had a certain preconceived notion of who she was. She's a 56-year-old mother that was a technical director that's never done sales before. Part of my working with her was helping move her from assimilation into just being where she is, into actually accommodating the new identity that she was creating. Because I'd be willing to believe, for many of y'all, the same as for me, when we were starting, the last thing we really immediately thought of us was being that we were going to be high-powered business owners and business operators at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We had to be able to accommodate this identity.
Grows in ways that are much more complex than just those two steps, and Piaget knew that. He went on to devise a 4-stage theory of cognitive development.
So this is the 4-stage theory, and y'all can write this down, because this is, and I'm going to put parallels between each stage and how you can then mentally understand where each rep is.
Described how we learn in different phases of our lives. He called stage 1 the sensory motor stage, which begins at birth and continues on to about age 2. This is the time when babies experience the world through their senses and actions, touching and grabbing and looking and hearing, and putting things in their mouth, from what I can tell.
So the sensory motor stage, this is literally like your first week MPDI. Most of your first week MPDI is just helping the rep feel confident in themselves and to feel good, because they're going to interpret everything on how they're feeling. That's why especially the reps that don't show up to AT1 or quit quickly will often relay everything to how they feel or how they believe they will feel. And so they're in this stage.
Mostly just putting things in their mouth. Younger babies may get scared around strangers, seem to live only in the present, and have to see something to know it exists. This makes them very easy to trick, if you're into that. I mean, if you have any experience with babies, just think about this. Toss a blanket over a 6-month-old's pacifier and they think it vanished. They lack object permanence.
So object permanence, and how he was just emphasizing it, this is like when you're first teaching a rep the objection cycle. They don't understand the fact that there's only a couple minutes. This is the last piece, but there's that with that, reps don't understand that what customers are telling them are just objections. They don't know how to see through smokescreen objections. They don't know how to work things. They don't know what happens after or what's really happening. So again, I want to lay a framework, because this is going to lay the bigger foundation.
The awareness that things still exist when they're out of sight. And yet, we develop so quickly that just a month or two later, that baby already understands better that objects and people don't disappear just because they're hidden. Object permanence, in Piaget's view, was one of the major achievements of the sensory motor stage. The second of Piaget's phases of development is the pre-operational stage, and he believed it began around age 2 and carried on through age 6 or 7. The thing about kids at this age is that it's all about them. The pre-operational stage is marked by egocentrism, which drives most of what it.
So this is going to be where a lot of your reps are going to be until they actually find their groove, if you will. But this is especially the part that we're largely working towards. And this stage, you will see these 4 stages will always happen again and again. So now that y'all are all in TLA, you guys are basically like baby reps again, and you're going through these 4 stages of cognitive development yet again. This is why Mr. Evans, during his opening comments, emphasized especially is that focusing on the business and what are the KRAs, because we will by nature, especially when the pressure is on, immediately become egocentric in our thoughts and in our processes and what we believe we should be doing, when none of that actually matters. And you are also going through these stages.
Child thinks and says. Kids have a hard time imagining another person's point of view, so much so that when I was a kid, if you asked me if I had a brother, I'd say, sure, John. But if you asked if John had a brother, I'd be like, I don't think so. Egocentrism, of course, never fully disappears, even in adults who understand how the whole sibling thing works. The pre-operational stage is also marked by a child's ability to mentally represent objects and events with words and images and pretend play using their imagination. They're big into animism now and believe their favorite bunny, Batman, or stuffed anglerfish has feelings and opinions and possibly the intent to kiss or.
This is where reps try and sell you on why the customer wasn't interested, basically.
you in your sleep, depending on how they're feeling. Still plenty of kinks to work out. Piaget suggested that early in this stage, kids don't yet understand the concept of conservation. Like how 500 milliliters is the same as 500 milliliters no matter what container it's in. They can also struggle with the notion of reversibility. It's hard for them to mentally reverse the process by which a ball of clay smashed flat can be rolled back into a ball. It's a concept that takes some time to understand.
So this is, again, where framework comes back in. So when a rep can understand the beginning of a demo and the end of a demo and how you can actually work with and what's actually happening within a demo, and whether or not they even understand the 7 steps to a sale and where you can recognize through it. And I'm going to let him hit this last part for the 4th stage, and then that'll conclude the video. And I'm going to tie everything back around.
Challenges both have to do with centration, a child's tendency to fixate on just one aspect of a problem or object, like the shape of the container or the clay. But during the second half of stage 2, things begin to blossom. Kids start forming their theory of mind, or ability to understand other people's feelings, thoughts, and perceptions, as well as their own.
So the theory of mind is the ultimate goal of what we are trying to get our reps to, where they can become autonomous people within the business, where they have the ability to understand other people's feelings, their thoughts and perceptions, as well as their own. And from this can then predict behavior. This is where reps actually get good at the objection cycle, where they can handle an objection before it comes up, where they can react in the moment at a high level.
And also how to predict behavior. Like, remember when my anglerfish got moved when I wasn't looking? A child at this stage will begin to realize that while she knows that the fish is in a new place, I don't know it was moved. So when I start to look for it, she'll expect me to look where it originally was and not where it was moved to. These new people skills have all kinds of awesome applications, from trying to convince your parents to give me that extra cookie I so desperately need, to showing empathy, which is better, and offering comfort to others when they seem sad. Piaget called the 3rd stage of development, beginning around age 6 or 7 and lasting until 11 or 12, the concrete operational stage. Kids are starting to think logically about concrete events that they've actually experienced. And unlike children in the earlier phase getting hung up on issues of centration, kids in this stage experience decentration and become able to see beyond just one aspect of an object or problem. So now, problems with reversibility and conservation just cease to be problems. And the last of Piaget's 4 stages is the formal operational stage, which starts about 12 and carries us through the rest of our lives. By now, our reasoning is expanding to include more abstract thinking, problem solving, and hypothetical questions. Now, Piaget's 4-stage model has been criticized for oversimplifying things and for being too rigid and
Okay, so this is where I'm going to draw it. There's more, and you can always watch the rest of it on your own. And it brings up a last little piece at the end, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to go all the way through it. So there's those 4 stages. And again, I want to bring this all the way back to schemas, as mentioned, as he had mentioned. So first thing, especially with ongoing PDI, and then we'll get into WhatsApp. So when it comes to especially ongoing PDI, the desired outcome is that you are able to create high-powered development. I think we can all come to terms and agree with this. So with it, and especially in this ongoing PDI, turns much like into raising a really big family. You need to be, and from there's going to be a lot of different people, and it's going to be a lot more than just cheaper by the dozen, right? You don't want to just have a dozen people on your team. The idea is that you're recruiting a lot more than just 12 people. But with that, we're talking about ongoing, post fast start, and everyone's going to be in different spots. So we need to first, as managers, be able to recognize where people are in their development, whether they're like the 5-year-old, they're like the 15-year-old, or they're like the 25-year-old. But then with this, we also have to understand, how do you actually know what you can talk about with each person? So there are 3 factors, especially for coaching and figuring out where they're at and what you can actually talk to them about. So how much have they actually sold in their career milestones? I forgot who. I think I've talked to a couple of y'all about this, but there are legitimate paradigm shifts based on how much you've sold. I can tell you my mentality was very different when I was at 10K to 20K to 30K to 50K to 100K. Completely different mentality. So the first thing that you can ask yourself, if you really want to increase your thought processes or up-level your thoughts, sell more. It actually does have a profound effect on your brain. Then with that is demos completed. I think I was talking with Tyler Tarmy about this, and I was actually mentally going through this with him so I could figure out what would make most sense immediately, because well, one rep can sell 20K and another rep can sell 20K, but how they sold 20K can speak a lot, because there are reps I've seen that can sell 20K in 10 demos. And then there are reps that sell 20K over the course of 50 demos. And I know that with a 50 demo rep, I can go into a lot more deeper thought processes than I can with the rep that only did 10 demos, because they've actually have different experiences that we can talk about and build from. And then lastly, of course, is events attended. This goes back to schemas, frameworks, and consistency in your language, or congruency in what we teach. So they've obviously gone through in the initial training. Have they gone to advanced training 1? Do they know about the objection cycle and all these other things? Have they gone to SLDM? Do they know the handling leads objection sheet that Mr. Evan teaches them? Do they know about all the other opportunities like becoming a branch or a DM or CSP? Do they know this? Have they gone to SC1 or a divisional meeting? What events have they attended? And these are 3 factors for you to be mindful of, especially as you do ongoing PDI, because everyone's going to be slightly different. So then from here, these are specific ongoing PDI functions that you will be doing in your office with your people. The reason I played the video earlier and why I talk about schemas and frameworks is because, look, considering this, I want you all, and you guys can write these down, but considering this, remember the feeling of when you were a child and we would look to our parents, and for all that we knew in our heads, our parents were like basically God. They always seem to like know everything up to a certain age, right? But they seem to know everything. It seems like our parents experienced everything, and they could basically do anything that I would try to do, but just way better than me. I'm a kid. And I'm not saying that you yourself need to be, like God, but this is especially where Mr. Evans made a really big highlight about Alex and why Alex is such a great manager, because of active listening skills. And so with this active listening and just writing things down, this is where it really comes into play. It was a quote that I actually got from a friend of mine, Brant. He always told me, the dullest pencil is sharper than the sharpest mind. Write it down. And from that point, I always did, because it's this feeling that we have with our managers where it's like, your manager always seems to be 2 steps ahead, as if everything's just all part of the plan. It's the feeling that we give to reps. It's the feeling that we give to reps where we're able to pick up right where we left off every single time. And that's powerful. That's how friendships can span 10, 20, 30 years. How do we elicit that same type of feeling, that same type of connection in a shorter period of time? Inside jokes. Seriously, make inside jokes with people. The sooner that you can start having inside jokes with people is the sooner that an immediate connection is established, because that's where friends are, right? It's because you can sit here on Zoom and you guys can laugh at the same thing because we get it, right? That's an inside joke. That's connection. And so with it, if you really want to explore this philosophy, you can read The Prince by Machiavelli. It's the first book that really ever introduced me to political philosophy. It's the first book that really introduced political philosophy to the world, and on how to lead and govern people. Take it with a grain of salt. It's a really intense book. If you've read it and you're not thinking it's intense, like reread it, because it gets intense in the way. Anyway, because when I was an assistant manager and I would do this PDI with Mr. Evans, Mr. Evans always told myself, Gabriel Torres, and the other assistant managers, never tired, never broke, never hungry. And of course, there were many times where we felt tired or broke or hungry because we hadn't eaten since yesterday because we kind of forgot, right? But do the reps know this? No, the reps have no idea. The reps have no idea. To the best of their thought, they think that I've always recently just eaten, that I have more money than every single person on our team combined, and that I am that I've just eaten and I'm not retired. I'm like, dude, yeah, I can keep going. You want to keep going? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Right. And it's that positive, crazy energy that gets them to be like, all right, I guess I'll keep going. If my manager can keep going and you've been working this hard, I guess I will too. And so, because with this perception, and this is what I need you guys, seriously, not for Cutco, but for life, you need to understand this for PDI, developing and coaching people. Perception is reality. I don't care what you think of yourself. All that matters is what other people do think about you. Now, it's important to care about yourself, but it does matter what other people think about you, because you can view yourself a certain way, but if the entire world sees you a certain way, that's who you are. Sorry. It's just the tough part. It's the tough part. It's the shell that we have to be able to break through. And so with it, this is why I love PDI and why you should too, because an easy way to get a read on the perception you're creating is on the way in which your people interact with you. First impressions you make with people are typically the strongest and most genuine, true to who you actually are impressions that people can get. And so that was always how I understood how I could become better, because I would just I would reference other people's first impression of me. And then I'd remember the first time I met them and I can see my progression the same way you do it with reps. And so now we'll be good, Andrew. And so with this, perception is reality. I believe I was talking with Tyler Tarmy about this actually. Guys, sales is just communication. And in communication with people, they can only understand and pull from that which they've actually heard or seen. The same thing with customers, same thing in demos. You literally cannot conceptualize something that has not ever come across your mind at all. And so otherwise it just doesn't cross the mind. This is, again, framing. This is schemas from the video, framework to build on. This is the scaffolding to the skyscraper that is your branch or your district empire. And so as Mr. Drew Frank had said, and as well how Mr. Evans had said, you must be congruent. This is the 5 basics to PR calls, the 7 steps to a sale, the 4 fundamentals, 4 reasons why sets, objection cycle, the sales script, the group interview script, the 3 reasons why reps sell. It's the steps to get onto key staff. It's the Cutco through college track. It's how to get into TLA. It's how to become a branch. It's how to become a DM. People need that. People need that so they know what they're working towards, because you want to find fulfillment, and that's what your reps are looking to feel. Fulfillment is simply the feeling of progress towards something. You can create how they should feel it and what steps towards what goal to feel that progress. That's what we put in front of our people, but we have to know our frameworks. So going back again to skills checks, week-to-week dynamics, driving agreements, driving attendance. Look, they have to want this from you. You have to get this. They have to want this from you. Okay? We as managers need to do our best to bring them value. Frameworks are the easiest way. And so through this skills checks, you can decide when you want to set skills checks up. You can have it formalized or you can have it impromptu. I think I've actually done this with every single one of you, where I would ask you to do the recommendation script and then I repeated it right back to you. That's an impromptu form of skills check, so you can do right over the phone and you can call out, or you can set up real ones. Week-to-week dynamics, same idea. This is where your relationship really comes in. It's how you set the boundaries and you set the parameters to, and the foundation for how it is that you guys are supposed to interact and how they should be interacting with the team and how they should be doing their job. This goes back to 1 Minute Manager. If you haven't read the book, I'm surprised it was assigned, but 1 Minute Manager all the way through. 1 Minute Manager, because then this is driving agreements. This is driving attendance. I believe I was talking with, was it with you, Rochelle? I think so. Or was it Lindsay? I don't remember. one of you guys about calendar. No, it was Rochelle. A calendar review. And I literally every single week to drive attendance and drive activity, my schedule that I had for the summer with all the dates and events, every single rep had it too. They had it all the way through August. So all I had to do is, hey, remember that event I've been promoting since the beginning of the damn summer? Yeah, you're supposed to be there. And so then granted, we also talk about this. These work their way into PDI. This is going back to PDI. You just follow the same technique. SEED, CEED, connect, excite, events, demos. Half of your PDI is going to be hitting on these. Tuesdays, when you have your Tuesday benchmark or your day 4 PC, then you are simply holding things accountable. I was talking with Adrian about this. His biggest issue, especially when it came to PDI, was the fact of following up with reps. And the thing is like, hey, hey Siri, set a reminder for today at 4 p.m. because it's 4 p.m. to call back Andrew regarding the 10 calls. And then I have a reminder come back and then I call them. Or an easier one, and then we're going to get into WhatsApp best practices. But this weekly benchmarks for top people, this all comes right back around. It all flows back into the same idea. You are developing great people. You need to be mindful of where they're at. You need to read 1 Minute Manager and literally follow that because it is the answer to managing people, managing agreements. And then from there, being mindful of the frameworks that you're proposing, and that's how you coach people through it on an upward track. But we have to lay the track in front of them and then push them down the track. So now let's talk about WhatsApp best practices. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, there, here, and then. Okay, cool. So right now, you guys are all able to obviously see my WhatsApp on here. So there's a couple quick things. Now, if you notice right here on this top one, these are going to be some best practices I urge you to have. So this is literally just an empty dead chat. Originally, it was just for me, but then Alex and I, when we started working with one another, so now she's in it, but I normally just had a dead group chat that I would throw everything into. And all the stuff I'm doing, I just toss stuff in there. Now Alex does the same thing as well. And it just acts as a perfect spot that we can copy paste all the time through. Create drafts in, you name it. Check how a post looks before we actually send it. Then as well, if you also notice this little pin icon, right? That little pin icon, you're not going to be able to do it through your phone. You have to do this through your computer, but I'll show it to you here on my WhatsApp. But so what you're able to do, which is really convenient, which is what I had when I was running my office, is that you can pin a chat. Because if you've noticed, you get a lot of damn chats, don't you? There's a lot of group chats. There's a lot of text messages. If you pin something to the top, now it stays right there at the top. So if anyone else texts me, these two chats are always at the top. I never lose my chats. They're always there, super easy access. So you can have up to 3. So the 3 that I had was our fleet chat, and then I had our captain's chat, and then I had my throwaway chat. Super easy to keep control of. Now, this is going to be the next one I'm going to show you is my hands down personal biggest favorite. And this is hands down, I think, the #1 reason we sold as much as we did over the summer. This next thing. Now I was talking to Adrian about this. I shared it with a lot of the new DMs. The tough part is it can be a little bit not hard to pull off, tiring to pull off. Here's why. So let's say that I want to send Tyler Tyler's one of the reps on my team, and I want to send him a voice note. Okay. But it's already at the end of the day. I've already spoken to Tyler. We've already closed out the day. But I know that tomorrow morning during Champions Club, I need to be doing outgoing PDI to the rest of my team to get them doing XYZ, whatever it is. So I had Q. So at night, 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I don't know, depended. As my team got bigger, it took longer. But at the end of each night, I would go on to Q, and then from there, I'd see everything. So I'd start recording. And when you're recording a voice note, go ahead and lock the voice note. And so all I do is go, "Good morning, Tyler. Hope you slept well and woke up even better. Just looking through Q this morning, going through. So I see that your goal is to have this many, and I see you for this day, this day, this day. You've got this much and that much and this much. So I know that you wanted to get towards this, and you're at this so far. So we just need to get this little bit extra. So just let me know. What's the action plan? What's the plan? What are the action steps we're taking to go ahead and get us moving towards that? Let me know, man. I'll talk to you soon." And then right up here on the top left, I'm just going to go ahead and click back, right? If you notice, I didn't press send on the voice note. I just clicked back on it. So now if I go back to Tyler's chat, it leaves a voice note I just made loaded in the chat. Fun fact, you can go ahead and you can close out WhatsApp. Like, check this out. I'm going to go ahead and close out my WhatsApp. I'm going to open it up again, go back to Tyler, and it's still there. The point I'm making to this is that at night, when I had 40, 50 people on my team at the same time, I couldn't talk to them every day. But PDI is not just personal daily interaction, it's personal daily influence. We need to get as many touches with our people as possible every single day. So every single night, instead of me having to spend the 2-3 hours in the morning, because I don't have that time in the morning, I have 1 hour. I don't have 3. I did it at night. I set it all up. So all I actually did during Champs Club, this is why I love Champs Club. And I think Chloe definitely remembers this feeling because she's definitely got these voice notes. I'd be sitting there in Champs Club and all I'm doing is just, and I'm just pressing send, press send, press send. But I set it up at 1 a.m., but I framed it. So it's like, "Good morning," because perception is reality. And I want my reps to believe that I'm the dude waking up at 6 a.m., doing everything, getting it all set up because I'm just like that fucking crazy. And it's like, dude, do you just work all the time? It's like, no, I just make you feel like I work all the time. And so they would try and match my energy because I'm their leader. And so this is a really nifty feature. What's cool is you can set up 2 as well. So you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your laptop, you can have 2 of them if you kind of already know what the next conversation is going to be. And here's the deal. I'd send out 40, 50 voice notes in the beginning of the day, and I'd get my responses throughout the day. Did I answer every single person? Honestly, no. Sometimes, frankly, that was the only voice note I got out to them. That was the only communication I had with them until the next day. But they got something from me. And it was there, and I was being attentive, and I'm being clear, and I know what's going on, and I know where they're at, and they know I'm there. And I did that every day. So that would be one of my favorite, biggest, best practices for WhatsApp. Past this, we're going to go ahead and create, obviously, we're going to go ahead and create I already have it. I'm just going to format it better so that you guys have promo posts and things and whatnot to post. But here's the last piece I'll really touch on. This goes more towards group chat management. And this is actually a conversation that I had with Lindsay about this. Remember Lindsay? So there's 2 things. Some of y'all have probably heard of this before. Where it's the idea of if you were going to give a talk, work the room. It's easier for me, especially to give this talk because I've literally worked the room. I've had a one-on-one with every single one of you. It's why I can say oh, when I had this conversation with this person or that person, right? And I can get a lot more head nods out of y'all because of this. The point that I'm making to this, and Lindsay, I'm just going to use you as a frame of reference. But so Lindsay had during a team meeting, asked everybody if they can do XYZ. And there was just straight crickets to my knowledge. Your group chat will function much like talking from a stage. because it's asynchronous and you're talking to people. So if you want to drive sales and drive activity and engagement through your group chat, you cannot just post a promo into the chat and expect everybody to just do it. Okay. What you need to have are your point people, like Mr. Evans talked about. This is why assistant managers, if you're an assistant manager right now, like this is why it's really important for you to do this, because no one wants to be the first person. No one wants to be the last person. Everyone always wants to be like everybody else. So you need to get at least like 3 people confirmed to definitely quickly respond to your text, right? Because then after everyone else sees at least a few people, then it'll kind of get the trickle. But again, you're the omniscient power in your office. You should know everything that's going on, right? You should have the combos and then make the group announcement and everyone drives at it. Because as far as anyone else understands, you only had that conversation with them. They don't recognize, this is object permanence from the video. They don't recognize the fact that you've had the same conversation with every single person. This is how you understand that someone's really up leveling as far as development, because Eric Palacio, towards the end of the summer, he's at like 26K in sales. He's like, dude, do you have the same conversations with like every single rep every time? You cracked the code, Eric. Congrats, dude. Yes, I do. And that's how I'm going to drive it, because I'm going to set everything up and then I'm going to talk about it so that the energy is higher. And so this is how you're doing it with that. What starts to then happen, and this is where you are literally managing the group chat, okay? Literally managing the group chat. Don't add reps in until after advanced training 1 is my personal opinion. And don't let reps leave group chats. You kick people out of group chats, okay? That's a personal preference. Like, clean out the WhatsApp, clean it out. Do not let a ton of empty reps sit there. I personally, Chloe knows this and Alex knows this and Taylor probably knows it too now. I hate seeing people leave a group chat. I hate it to the bottom of me. I will kick you out before you have the opportunity to even think about leaving, because it doesn't look good in my head. Because again, perception is reality, and I'm very careful to this. And so those are especially some major basic pieces to WhatsApp, but you have to literally manage your group, then putting it into the chat. And when you get that going, everyone gets a lot more involved with it from there. And everybody, this is ongoing PDI through the use of schemas and frameworks to then better understand where each person is at and to then continue coaching them through those frameworks, and then using WhatsApp as your form to communicate with people a lot more often, a lot more easily, a lot more quickly. And then from there, how to manage your WhatsApp so it's easy to see where everything is and drive your people through it.
All righty. Adrian's coming into the waiting room. Thank you, Eddie, for delivering some goods on that. I want to open it up real quickly for light bulbs, as well as I'm going to offer a couple of additional thoughts here real quickly before we go to break, but some Q&A from that session. Again, this is going to be a little bit more engaged with prep than we've had. So a lot of times we just have speakers, post your light bulbs. I want you guys to make sure you're getting some clarity coming out of today. So this is a really good chance just for today. If there's anything that from including my opening comments too, just when I went over, because we didn't have a Q&A after that. There's anything today that you have questions on, you could use some clarity on, something that you're confused on, that you want to get some confidence on, like ask a lot of questions today and make sure that we're engaged, as well as just facilitating what were the biggest light bulbs from the message and from the talk. So let me open up for a couple of different people here and we'll go around the horn. Let me go to Mason and we'll go to Audrey.
Yeah. Well, I really like the perception is a reality thing. And when you tied it into saving a ton of your time by just sending those good morning voice notes the evening before, right? Like you're going to bed, that could be part of your evening routine. And that's the best way to check in with your reps. I really love that. It saves a ton of time. And I'm excited to implement that this summer.
Yeah. Have you guys ever wondered how, like, a lot of time, like, you guys see those giant long posts that I make sometimes too. I've got all those. A lot of times I've already typed out the messages a day or two ahead of time, and I've already taken them and I forward them to myself. So I send them to Andrew Evans on WhatsApp. So I have them all there. And then when I'm ready to, when it's time and in the right time, I forward them out to the group chats. I already have it done. You know, when I'm busy in the day, I'm not typing those up usually when I send them. They've already been typed up already. You know, I'm just now getting the communications out to people. So this is something to be strategic. Now, here's a good question, okay? So one thing we're going to start doing this summer, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more today, is Divisional Champions Club. The goal is to have 100 to 200 people in the division, literally reps every single morning on the Champions Club, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. throughout the course of the summer. We'll have a phone jam in the morning. A DM will kick it off. I'll be on most of those throughout the whole entire summer. So it'll give me a chance to connect and recognize the top reps that are hopping on every single week for both the fast starters and our current team. And then we'll have 2 breakout sessions for our fast starters, which will be the same topics Monday through Friday, every single day. And then we'll have 1 breakout for anyone that's not a fast starter that's currently on the team, which will be a different topic taught by DM or myself each and every single day throughout the course of the summertime. So during that time period, while you're, and what's happening is, one thing that's happening during that first phone jam from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is I'm sending out messages as a DVM to the top reps to connect with them. Our managers are changing everyone's screen name to either fast start or current team, fast start or team, so we know how to do the breakout rooms. The other thing, what's the other thing that's happening every single morning from 8 to 9 a.m. while all of our managers are on these calls? Outside of driving the phone jam with the reps that are in front of you.
PDI, reaching out to
PDI, yep. Okay, and you can do WhatsApp PDI, but is that sufficient enough?
Negative.
Okay, so to Eddie's point is, you know, my goal, I would be sending out the WhatsApp messages and have them pre-recorded the night before, but my goal would be to connect with as many people as possible before 9 a.m. You know, especially, and again, if I have a list of 20 people, if I have 20 people on my team, I'm probably not going to be able to talk to all 20 that morning. So how do I decide who do I actually call and who am I prioritizing? How do I decide that?
Whoever's not in Champions Club and your top representatives.
Bingo. Yep. Who's not? First off, the first goal is get as many people to Champions Club, because that, like, I got 20 reps on the team. I get 10 of them there. Well, now I only have 10 people to call. I actually might be able to call every single person, you know, but let's say there's more than that. And so the people in front of me are in front of me. I don't have to worry about them. They're in front of me right now. I'm going to drive the phone jam that's happening in front of me. The rest of the people that I'm going to call is the 20% that's going to produce the 80% of the results. I'm talking with my best people earlier in the morning. I'm connecting with my top performers, or who maybe I'm going on, you know, web PDI and seeing who has the biggest opportunity. Hey, Joey's usually a stud. He's got a goal of 4 today. He's got no demos today. If I don't talk to him this morning, he's going to do nothing today. I need to get a conversation with him before the day gets going there too. So you still want to layer on, like, the goal is WhatsApp is to scale it out, right? So you do the best work with your best people. And then the other stuff can become supplemental, right? A WhatsApp message is not a real live exchange. It's not connecting with them. It's not coaching. It is a good system to have in place as a backup support structure for people that you don't have time to speak to. Okay. It is not PDI. So there's still an element of personally talking to people on the phones that we lose. However, you don't want to be the person that's like, well, I talked to 5 people, but I didn't have time for that. So I haven't talked to any of my team all day. Get the WhatsApp messages out, send them out. Like, even if you don't want to do it, do a broadcast list, like Eddie mentioned. If I'm running late, you know, and I didn't get a chance to connect with all my team, and I don't get a chance to record them all individual audios, I'm going to at least send an audio out to the whole team on a broadcast message. Hey, hope your morning's going well. I'm not going to address them in their name. Hey, hope your morning's going well. I'm just checking in. I'm reaching out to all the reps on the team this morning, and I wanted to get a quick update on what your 3-day window looks like for today, tomorrow, next day. Give me a quick response, and let's have it go back and forth throughout today. Eddie, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I purposely I forgot to talk about broadcast lists. So there's something called broadcast lists, which I think it'd be cool if there's.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure. Maybe I missed it. So if you want to go over that real quick.
Yeah, I missed the broadcast list, and then Jess, I know that you have your hand raised. You're not forgotten. We see you. But so broadcast list is another really big piece that really helped me out, and this is why, because Chloe was like my sounding wall for this. When I was sending out those individual morning voice notes, those were on, I did include their names because I wanted them to believe that it was 100% made for them. However, then I learned about broadcast lists. So especially when you have to get some sort of information to everybody really fast, really quickly, this is where Chloe would call me out on it, but she could tell when my voice notes were broadcasted or they were individualized, whether or not I included people's names.
Yeah, everyone can tell, by the way, it shows up as a different color on the thing when you send out a broadcast message too.
Mhm.
And you just tell people, hey, I'm sending out a quick message to everybody on the team this morning, guys, checking in.
And if you don't know how the broadcasts look or work, because a lot of us found it out, Puerto Rico was actually the one that showed us everything. Sorry, Jess, we got you. Right here. So you go to broadcast lists, right up here, top left. You can only access it through your phone. And then from here, you can see like a lot of the different things I'd have. So, the people that are my coaches, those were all my PR staff. So I'd be able to send them all these different things every single time, but it goes to multiple people at the same time. Wow, I should probably go back through these. There's a lot of knowledge. I can send out something to literally my entire team all at the same time. Alliance, so especially during push PCs, this is really convenient. Damn, I need to go through these. This is a lot.
Yeah, everyone, do me a quick favor. Open up WhatsApp real quickly. And if you go on your phone, just open it up just to make sure everyone's on the same page with how to do this. It should be the very top left hand on your WhatsApp. If you just click it right there where Eddie's clicking right now, click on broadcast list.
You have to
Okay.
download, just for everyone else who might not have, do you have to download WhatsApp Business for that?
No.
Okay. WhatsApp regular. Yeah. So all you would have to do is then you hit at the very bottom, there's a button that says new list, and you would just add in whoever you want to add into that list. Okay. So, maybe Eddie, just make an example. Cool. Just, all right. Then Mike, hit create. Okay. And you can click on it, go to the top of it and change the name of the group chat. So you can call this, divisional team or something like that. And then you can send audios, you can send photos, you can send messages. So when you send a message, Mike's gonna be like, what's going on?
The biggest thing, when you send sorry if I may, when you send the message, if you guys have ever tried to forward an audio, it comes through as an MP3 voice note, whereas this, it actually makes it seem organic.
Yeah, so this is going directly to them. So this will go as an individual message directly to them. Whatever I type in this box, and it won't pop up on your individual messages until they respond to it, by the way. Okay, so just type something in there, example, just type a test. And send it. All right, great. I guess it's just not showing on the screen.
It is. It goes through. So then if you guys don't know, one arrow, one check mark means that it has not delivered. 2 check marks means it has delivered. So means that they don't have WhatsApp on their phone, probably. If you don't know that.
All right. So once it sends, what's going to happen is until I respond. So Eddie, go back to your chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like not loading for some. I'm not sure if it's just my screen, but it's stuck on the.
You are so right. It is not loading it for some. There you go.
All right, cool. So see how that message that Eddie sent to me is not there. If I respond to it, now it will pop up. So go back to your messages, Eddie. It's just not working.
Yeah, it's just not.
All right, no worries.
There you go.
But you guys get the idea. So now his test message is there on it as well. So you get the idea. Eddie, I'll stop your screen sharing here too. You guys can use that. It will send us an individual message. You can send it to like 20, 30 people. Any other questions? We'll go to Jessica. Questions, takeaways.
Yeah, I had a takeaway. Thanks for sharing that video. I am a person that probably won't implement things unless I know the exact whys behind it. So it painted a bigger picture for me. And one thing that stood out was definitely the voice notes. Like that's a cool trick, but also like tying it back to like the frameworks. So like if reps have consistency and congruency with when you're reaching out to them, what you're going to be asking for, what they're going to say. I think that ties together in congruency, and then people will probably start doing things or responding before you even send the voice note or saying like, hey, Eddie, like, just so you know, this morning, like I'm planning on booking out my demos. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I got it. So that really tied together. So thanks.
Cool. Let's get Adrian.
Yeah, just echo. I think the most fire take away from this is that those voice messages, and just to add to that, my first fall 2019, Andrew had me do this probably every single morning, Thursday, Friday, because I would be unavailable for the majority of the day because of training. So I wouldn't say do this like, of course, you want to talk to your reps every single day, preferably through the phone. And I know Eddie did this every day with the voice message, but I am 100% sure that he followed up with that with more PDI and actual phone calls. So you don't want to replace this 100% with just voice notes, because people want to make sure they get your call and they don't want to just get those voice messages each and every single day. So that's just a little ad there. But yeah, training Thursdays, Fridays, like you got too many things worried about, like that you're worrying about. And that's a good time to really see where they're at, see how many demos they booked for Wednesday, follow up for if they need a makeup phone jam on Thursday, Friday, see where they're at, the first benchmark to see what their goal is for their first for the week, where they're at for the week, and then just letting them know how many demos they should have lined up for that. So that's just moreover what I focused on Thursdays or Fridays on those voice messages, and it really just saved a lot of time, and it was very efficient.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to this, guys, is this is a good topic and thought for people that are going to be, you know, leading the way during March Madness, or if you're coaching some people during March Madness. Really, the key to managing reps is just keeping something and a goal in front of their face. It is just, here's what you have to realize. It's like the key is making them more self-aware of where they're at, where they want to be going, and how they're pacing for it. That's it. That's it. That's really like the simplest thing. There can be some motivation tools and things like that in there, but it's really just helping them be aware. They're not very aware when they're first getting started, you know, and that's really all it takes. So number one, just let me just give an example. Quick tip during March Madness is like, after you map out the push for them, make sure you do your due diligence. You're going to map out, hey, what's your demo goal for each day of the push? How many demos we want to get done total? Put that stuff into Q or into Web PDI, which is we all should be on Vector Impact at this point in time. Put it onto the software so that every single morning it's as simple as this. If you just send a rep a message Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday and just say, hey, I saw your goal, you know, your push goal today is 3 demos. You only got 1. What's the plan? Hey, you have 3 demos and your goal is 3. Nice work today, Joe. You're right on pace for your goals, but I would make sure you pay attention tomorrow. You've only got 1 and your goal is to get 2 more. So let me know what the plan is to get that extra demo today. Like literally, if you just did that, the whole fast start, 0 coaching, 0 management, just say, hey, I'm just pointing out, by the way, that you're on pace, you're not on pace, or here's where you're at with your goals and like tracking towards your push. They will do a lot better just by having that and nothing else. And the next thing, I think a lot of this message was supposed to be centered around a post fast start PDI. So really how to manage representatives after they finish their first 10 days. And everyone kind of has a good idea of how to do this in the first 10 days, but then we stop doing it. You know, here's some just quick best practices, okay, of making sure that, you know, reps that don't have vision quit. That's why we want to get people excited about TLA, because when they're excited about TLA, they finish off strong for the summer. When they're not excited about TLA, they quit in July. It just is what it is. They don't have it long. It's not about TLA. It's about them having vision beyond the summer. When they have vision beyond the summer, they finish off the summer. When they don't have vision beyond the summer, they quit whenever they get tired or don't feel like it, or mom and dad say, hey, let's go on vacation. You know? So it's all about just giving them benchmarks. So we're really good at this in the first 10 days. But after the first 10 days, do they have some goals? You know, like the SE1 to SE2 hiatus before SE1. Like, do they have something that they're working towards? Do they have a goal for that week? Reps will always sell more if they have a goal for that week. Do they know what their next benchmark is? This is the best practice that I would write down for Mila Amy this summer. That really, this is game changer, okay? Every single time that she finished a PDI call with one of her people this summer, every single time she would send them a screenshot of a calculator. And it would be every single time, all right, Joey, nice work. You just sold $200. You just sold a homemaker. Okay, cool. You're at $7,340 in CPO. That means you are only $2,660 away from your next promo. And then she'd take a screenshot and send it to them. So every single time they put an order, they got a photo of a screenshot with a calculator and how far away you are from your next promotion. Okay. And I know that sounds like, oh, okay, cool, the next promotion. But like, that's what representatives need. They just need like little, oh, I'm only a grand or 2 away. Okay. They just need little goals. And they just try to hit them. When they have like go into the week with intention, like, oh, I'm only $1,500 away, I could hit that this week. They actually like try, versus a lot of our reps, what they do after their first 10K, they're just kind of like, yeah, I'll just do 10. I'll just see how my appointments go this week. They're not going in with intention of like, all right, I want to figure out a way. I've got 5 appointments. I just need to get $1,500 on the board. I could sell a homemaker. I could sell this. I'm going to find a way to get to 1,500. I got 5 appointments. I should be able to do that. They're just like, I'm going to do 5 appointments, see how much I sell. Oh, I sold nothing. Shoot. You know? So little tiny benchmarks. When's their next promo? When's their next goal? Can you create a contest with them for this week? If they don't have goals, they're not working towards anything, and they probably won't be working very longer either. So just little tiny benchmarks and creating awareness around where they're going, what their goals are, and how they're pacing towards them. You know, every conversation, you should be able to give them an update as a manager on how far away they are from their next promo, the next benchmark, you know, the next push. Okay, you've got to get them thinking about what their goals are and then have benchmarks for them along the way. Even the reps that are at 50K and 100K, you know, hey, you're this far away from 105K. You're this far away from learning this program and system. You're this far away from being able to, you know, be considered for our FSM development program. So we're going to go to a break here real quickly. It's 10:35. We're just going to take a 5-minute so do whatever you need to do. We won't have any assignments. You get refreshed, get some water, use the restroom. Let's reconvene at 10:40 and we'll come on back. I'm back. Make your way on back. We are going to dive right in here to our next section. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a PR program overview. And this is going to be a quick little overview. I'm going to kind of fly through this stuff. And this is just going to be a review. We'll do some quizzes. But again, this is your bread and butter. This is your PR program for the summer. This is your fuel in your car. A successful PR program will yield to a successful office. A unsuccessful PR program will yield to an unsuccessful office. These are the KRAs that matter versus all of the noise. So let's talk about it real quickly, okay? Everyone knows we have the funnel. So it's time for our favorite time of the week, the PR quiz. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the polls here. Here's the deal. There's I think we're missing a couple people. I don't know if we're 17. Ooh, I don't know if we're missing one person. Oh, Nick Dana hopped off. He has this call here. All right, never mind. All right, so there's 17 people on this call. I want 100% right answers on this. Okay, 100%. I'm going to ask you answers wrong. So let's make sure we're all on the same page with this one. I want to make sure that we're doing this. So first things first. PR show percentage. Okay, for you as a branch or district manager, not your SMRAs, not your assistant managers, what should your PR show be during the summer? What is the standard for a PR show? The standard for a branch or district.
Why is your face like that? Is it bad answers?
No, they're good. I'm waiting on 2 people. 2 people still need to vote.
We talking like minimum? Sorry, I just.
What's the standard? So not the above standard, but what's just the standard?
As a manager, right?
Can I re-enter my?
I'm still waiting on 2 people. I'm guessing it's Tyler and Yandri since they're not back on yet, or 15 of 16. Okay. All right. So we got 1 vote at 35%. Who put 35%? Who did it? All right. So that's a number if you're an SMRA or an assistant manager. Okay. But the number for a manager is 55%. So those of you guys that put 75%, you got it wrong, but great. Maybe you're overachievers. It's a great number to be shooting for, but 55% should be the standard as a manager. Okay, let's do this next one. Ready? All right. Show to training percentage. What's the standard for show to training? The standard, what should it be as a manager? 35%, 50%, 60%, 40%. What is the number? We got 13 to 16. Hurry, make your choices. I'm waiting on 3 people. Let's do this fast. 1 left. Let's go. Waiting on 1 person. Who hasn't gone? Still waiting on 1 person.
We lost 1, so.
All right. Well, it's just 15 of 16. There's 16 people on right now. 1 person that's on here still hasn't filled it out. All right, whatever. All right.
You'd be 15, no?
I don't know how this works. All right. 4 people voted for 50%. 8 people voted for 60%. 3 people voted for 40%. Write these down if they're not in your notes, because I'm going to ask this poll again on Monday, and we need to get 100%. The correct number is 60%. Should be your manager show to training. That's the standard. Okay, these are the targets of where you should be. 50% is all right enough. If you're below 50%, you've got a problem. Okay, but 50% was the standard show before we moved to virtual training. The show to training should be higher on a virtual platform. There's way less commitment. It's easier to get people there. And it's a better job, quite frankly, that we're advertising for now. So 60% is the number for that one. All right, next poll. Okay, launch percentage. What should your launch percentage from training be as a good facilitator of training? 50, 60, 70, 80. We're still waiting on a couple. All right. So the launch percentage, who put 50%? Who did it? One person did it. All right, Nick. It is 70% is the number. So we had 8 people vote for 70%, 2 people voted for 60, 4 people voted for 80. 80 is great. If you can have 80, awesome. 70% is the number that you should be launching. Okay, if you're in the 60 to 70% range, you're in a healthy range. If you are launching less than 60%, meaning if there's 10 people on day one and you're finishing training with 5 or less, there's something with your training facilitation or something in your interview that needs to be fixed. Okay, 70% is really what you want as a standard. If I got 20 people in the training, I'm launching 14 or starting the job. You know, then this is again launch percentage. So this is how many you're launching with, like they filled out a contract and you launch them from the system as a launch percentage. That's why it's 70%, because we oftentimes still have a person or two that doesn't even do their demos their first weekend. So this is how many you're launching out of training. It should be 70% is actually finishing. All right, last poll question is you launch them. This is not even really PRs, but it's the last poll in the question. What should the first weekend average be per person per head for first weekend? What's the standard? What's the benchmark that we're trying to hit? Summertime, by the way, let me clarify. It's different than fall and spring. Summertime as a manager, what is the number? All right, all the votes are in. One person put 750. Who put 750? All right, that's good for the fall and spring. During the summertime, wait, now one person put 500. Who put 500? Who did it? Who did it? Someone did it. Own it. Do I need to go and check? Who put 500? Someone doesn't know?
It was me. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
You're good.
I put 500 because before you said in the summer.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So during the fall and spring, it's 750. You know, is really what you want to be averaging. During the summertime, you want to be averaging $1,000 first weekend, $2,000 in your fast start, $4,000 PPR is what that creates. Okay. The way to influence your fast start production and your PPR production is with your first weekend average. Okay. But we're not going to spend too much more time about that because it's not necessarily related to PRs. So understanding the funnels and numbers is really, really important, because when you hop on a call with me in the middle of the summer and you go, Andrew, my office isn't selling, I don't know why. I want you to be able to look at your stats on Vector Live and tell me why your office isn't selling. Because this is the things of like, this is why you pay attention to the numbers. You got to know where the numbers are so that you know what's off, right? Because you can look at, all right, well, you know, well, that's the first thing we're going to look at. The first thing we look at is not, well, my team meetings aren't good. You know, my PDI isn't that great. It's like, no. If your office is not selling, it is a recruiting problem, first off. Okay. Now, if you're already performing at a high level, you've got a big team and you're not hitting the numbers that you want to hit, then we're talking about a management, a PDI development. But if you've got less than 15, 20 people in a team meeting, you don't have sales problems. You have recruiting problems. Recruiting is what you have to focus on first. You know, again, that is the bread and butter. That's where everything starts. So you can look at your stats and results and say, all right, cool. Well, you know, I'm setting 20 PRs a week. Check that box. Okay. How many people are showing when I set them? Oh, I have a 35% show for my PR show. Well, nothing else even matters. We don't even need to look at the rest of the funnel. Your PR show needs to get fixed. That's the first and foremost thing. That's the top of the funnel. Nothing else matters. All right, cool. I'm getting a 50%, 55% PR show, Andrew. Like, that's good. Cool. So I'm setting the PRs. They're showing to the interviews. Cool. I'm getting that done. But my show to training is 40%. That's where you're losing it. All right, cool. We're 60% of people you interview are not showing up to the training for the job. You know, that's a problem. My show to training is 40% or 35% or 50%. That's where you're losing. All right, Andrew, everyone's showing up to training. I set the PRs myself, check the box. They show up to the interview, check that box. They show up to training, my interview's good, check that box. But then I'm just not launching anybody. Like I'm having every week I have people in training and none of them launch. So it goes back to, all right, now I have a 50% launch rate. That's your problem. That's what you need to address and focus on. Something with your training facilitation or your interview is good at getting them to show to the job, but you're not covering the details the right way. So they're not finishing the job because they have the improper expectations of what training should be. This is knowing these numbers is important because it allows you to dissect where are they, what do I need to fix inside of the business? Again, we're running businesses that are around numbers. It's not art, it's a science. You know, if these numbers are correct, this will yield to recruiting results. You will recruit 100 people this summer. You will have results for your summertime. You know, if these numbers are off, it doesn't matter PDI, team meetings, sales management, push PCs. None of that matters if you don't have a lot of recruits on your team to begin with. If your recruiting operation is not going, then you're not moving anywhere in the first place. Okay. All the other little things are like, this is your fuel for your car. PCs, PDI, you know, good team meetings, a good advanced training one, driving Champions Club attendance. That's like putting like the modifications in your car, putting the new rims on it, putting the new, you know, brake pads on it, putting the new boost into the engine, putting some turbo in there, you know, getting some new coilovers. Like that's all the extra stuff. That's great. If there's no fuel in your car, none of that even is relevant. You know, the fuel in your car comes first. So making sure that you know the numbers and know the processes of the funnel and what they should be. Second thing is, Kay, is do you know how to generate PRs confidently? All right. It's a weird mix, and this is a momentum game. When you have, it's like kind of like SMRAs, right? When you have SMRAs on your team, it's really easy to hire more SMRAs. Your SMRAs can feed you SMRAs like no tomorrow. When you don't have SMRAs, it's kind of hard to get the SMRAs going. That's the same way it is with PRs. When recruiting is going really well, you always have a lot of PRs to go because you're recruiting a lot of people and you always have new people giving you more PR names. It's like you always have a surplus of names. And the ironic thing is when your PR program is not going hot, you also probably don't have that many people to call, which is also why your PR program is not going hot because you don't have people to call. Does that make sense to everyone? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword that you're dealing with during this time period. So it's really important to know what to do if you don't have PR names to call. Right. So you've got to be nailing your PR talk and training. You've got to be averaging 150, which by the way, is easier now than ever before. We're getting way higher average results on Vector Impact, and PR talk that took an hour and a half before to do now takes 15 minutes to do the whole entire talk, which is nice and saves you some time in there in training because of the way that the app's set up, and it's much easier process to do, way less resistance. It's easier to get PRs. However, let's pretend you just started your office and you haven't had any good launches yet. You don't have a lot of people to call. So before I show you guys the slide, if I'm a branch or district manager, maybe I haven't even launched anyone for the summer and I'm trying to get to, by the way, here's a little quiz. How many PRs should my office be setting total as a branch manager during the summertime? What's the total number? 60. Yep. 60 set by humans. The rest becomes conveyor. Okay, that looks like 20 to 40 from you as a branch manager and 30 to 40 from your SMRAs, maybe an assistant or two if you have one. But 60 is what is the number and benchmark. And by the way, again, if your office is not 60 PR set for the week, literally nothing matters. Nothing matters. There's not a single thing that's more important for me to talk to you about on a call outside of how are we getting to 60 PR set for the week. You know, again, if it's like, hey, if you're only saying 20 PRs, it only means you're recruiting 4 or 5 people a week to get them into training max. You know, that means you're getting an opportunity to launch 2 or 3 people. You're not going to get that much from mailers, Craigslist, and web. It's going to be your PR program. That's like 90% of the results. So if I don't have anyone to call, where do I start? Who do I call first? Like where do I get names? How do I generate names? If I'm low on names, what's the protocol? Where do I start with that?
You reach out to people on social media or SMRA attack list.
Okay, cool. So the real first answer is SMRAs, SMRAs, SMRAs. That's how you get PRs and recruits when you don't have people to call. Second thing that you can do is send out social media messages to get more reps and phone numbers. What are some other things that you can do when you don't have people to call? Now, by the way, there is some generating from the team. Pretend you don't even have a team yet. You don't even have a team. You just started the summer. There's no one on your team to get more PRs from. So you have the SMRA program, you have social media messages. Where else can I get PRs? Lindsay.
Old PR lists.
Old PR lists, okay? Now, do we want to call old PR lists? Is that ideal? No. If you don't have anyone to call, guess what you're going to do, though? Call old PR lists, okay? There's never a time, like whenever a manager says, I don't have any names to call, it's like a rep saying, I don't have anyone to call. It's like literally you say those words, and what I hear is, I'm lazy and I'm unwilling to put in the work and unwilling to be resourceful right now to help me get out of my own situation. Like that's literally what I hear when it's like, well, Andrew, I don't know who to call. We don't have PRs. And it's like, okay, I'm lazy and I haven't taken the time to be resourceful yet. It's kind of like when rep says like, I don't have people call. What I hear is like, I'm too nervous to call the people that I don't want to call. And I'm being really closed-minded about who I can see. That's like literally what I hear. So just making sure that you're doing, again, you have old conveyor list. Now, an old PR list, like everyone, when you get your territory this summer, you will have PRs from the previous managers that's been there and every other person that launched in that territory. They're going to be a year or two old. They're really not going to be hot lists from your best people that are already primed up and set up for you. But it's like, hey, what's better? Calling recommendations that have been texted ahead of time from your best customers. If you don't have any recommendations to call, you're going to call your worst ones that haven't been texted, that have been 6 months since you called them. But that's better than not being able to call anyone at all. By the way, like just because they're old PR lists doesn't mean they're bad PR lists. It just means they're not fresh. It's better to be fresh. Taylor Rosenthal is on this call today because Alex Arias had no one to call last summer and called old PR lists from a previous manager that previous summer. You know what I mean? So it is not ideal, but it's something that you can do. Okay, something else that you have. What's another thing that's on Vector Live that you can do? That's another way to get out PRs when you don't have fresh lists. So you have old PR lists that were never called. You also have what, Lindsay?
I was just gonna say conveyor. You can always just send stuff out.
Yeah, you can send out to conveyor, or there's a section called conveyor unreached, which means these are people that got a text message, and they didn't ever get scheduled. So that means they got a text message, but they didn't call. Those people, again, are less on the priority list because they've already been reached out to and they didn't schedule an interview. But a lot of those people, you can still schedule for interviews. You know, a lot of them just didn't respond to the text message or forgot to or never followed up. Then there's another section on Vector Live that just sent into the group chat called lost text. Okay, these are people that got a message from conveyor. They actually responded with interest, and somewhere along the scheduling process, they just never got scheduled. Okay, so they responded, hey, what's the job about? They said it's this, go ahead and apply. They didn't apply. Or they said, yeah, I'm interested, send me more info, and they just never scheduled the time. Okay, a lost text, again, not ideal. Some of the lost texts will be like, screw off, I like bananas, and just like that. You don't even, like, these people just said whatever, and it just comes as a lost text. But there's also like probably 1 in every 10 is literally someone that was like, yes, I want the job, I'm really interested, and somehow they just didn't get scheduled. Or a conveyor messed up, by the way, which does happen. You'll see them send really weird texts to people and be like, what the hell did they just say? Like it doesn't even make sense. And you're calling to do the follow-up and, hey, I think we reached out to you a couple weeks ago, but we never got you scheduled for an interview. There's also, by the way, no shows to interviews. Should you spend time as a manager calling a bunch of people that didn't show up to the interview? No. If you don't have recruiting going, then yeah, I'd call back and schedule people. You know how many people miss their interviews and just are too nervous about reaching out to reschedule because they don't want to look bad. So, that's Brent Boyd, who's a district manager in Melbourne. He missed his first 2 interviews and was too nervous about calling back. Like he wanted the job, but wasn't going to call back and be like, yeah, I missed my interview. I'm sorry. I'm like an idiot. So, when someone reached out to him, it's like, oh, thank God. Yeah, I'd love to reschedule. That happens too. Those are another source of people that you can use. What are some other things if you have reps on your team that you can do to generate more PR names to call? Yeah, Adrian.
Target your best people, conversations with them, have them create a top 10, top 20, top 30 list of people that
even if they think that wouldn't like want the job, just would kick ass at it.
Yep. PCs with your best people and having, intentional conversations with them. Jessica.
Promoting the team builder scholarship, getting 3-way text, and getting triple threat posts up.
Yep. Okay. And here's an example. Whenever you have people in front of you, take advantage of that for recruiting. I've got 10 people in a champions club. Have them all post a triple threat. Hey, all of you put me in one 3-way text. There's 10 of you on the call right now. Anytime that you're running a team meeting, there should be a group recruiting activity. When you have people in front of you, take advantage of that to affect and impact recruiting. Every conversation or meeting that you run should impact sales or impact recruiting, or ideally both. Okay. What are some other things that we can do? Anthony.
Snaplets.
Okay. Snapchat blasts. You can do an advanced training one. A lot of people never do it to the fullest extent, using that and having that in your arsenal. What's another thing that we can do?
Social media D-Day.
Okay, social media D-Day. I also just think about Cancun workshops. Now, I don't know if the trip this summer is going to be Cancun, but having an actual workshop where you figure out who's excited about, or a team building workshop, who's excited about it, and you get people that are actually in front of you and do a workshop where you can do 3-way text, you can do some team build activities, do triple threats, have people start messaging social media, hey, Joe and so-and-so, you want to get some PRs this summer? You want to hit the trip for free? All right, let me hook your account up to Growth to Success. I'll get you all the PRs, for basically free for the summer, or teach them how to send out the social media messages themselves. So these are all different things that you can do, but it's important that as a manager, again, to make sure you're being resourceful. There's so many different ways that you can get names. But by the way, what's the number one thing in the number one program that's going to affect your ability to get high quality names during the summertime and PRs? I'd say actually two things, but the first part of the funnel.
Is it the SMRAs?
Yeah, SMRAs. SMRAs will always be. And here's what's important as a manager. Like, if you're a manager and you're calling if your set 20 is calling a Google form, you are missing the point and missing the understanding of why managers should set PRs. You're missing the point completely. Okay, SMRAs and AMs can schedule the people that are already applying and already interested. You should be talking to the best people. That's what you're doing. And this is goes back to hey, are you doing $10 an hour work, or are you doing $100 an hour work? You're calling people off a Google form. You're doing something that we could pay an SMRA to do. $10 an hour work. Is that what you're worth as a branch? Or are you being a recruiter? Are you talking to the best kids in your territory? Are you like the people that the SMRA, their top 20 list, those ones should be called do not give SMRAs the other SMRAs PRs. Those are your best people. Don't hand them off to your worst people that are the worst people at scheduling those people. Talk to those people yourselves personally. Now, if you have an abundance of them and you can't hand them on all, then you can schedule other ones. Okay. But you need to know who your best people are. Right. And I might have some top 10 lists, and maybe that's the best thing to call after training too. But the reality is if I don't have any studs in my team and I just launched one person, they recommend me 200 names, I'm not going to give that list to SMRAs to call for the week. That's my list that I'm taking personally. I'm going to call through those 200 people this week and talk to them personally and make sure I'm being intentional about the 20 that I'm setting. So when you're saying 20 to 40 PRs on a weekly basis, you set your best 20. Find who your best recruits are. What's the best list that I have? The best, networks that I have tapped into right now. Those people, they're going to be harder to get, and they should be. But if you're calling the easy ones, you're really missing the point of why we want district managers to actually call these people ourselves here too. So let me come up for air real quickly. Any questions at all on the PR program or anything around that? Just Q&A on the PR program in general. Questions or light bulbs on anything PR related?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, Tyler.
So I kind of missed the name of it, but the interview no-shows, what's the name of that?
I think it's literally interview no-shows and Live.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. Juliana?
Yeah, so I see actually in the generating PRs, the post-interview PRs. I have no clue what that is.
That is on your Google form that you'll make. Okay. And again, this is my general leaning towards this is like, don't ask for them. It's better for interview retention. However, if I'm in a spot where like, oh, we don't have any recruits, again, I would typically just lean towards the SMRA program. But this is just another tool in your arsenal. Is you can also have people recommend people in the interview on that Google form. Hey, do you know anyone else that's looking for work? You just add a section on it on the Google form and make a quick comment at the end of the interview. And it's an extra opportunity to get some people recommending you to people on the job. Now, I usually don't like doing this because then you call those friends and all it takes is one of those friends to call up their friend that just got the job and neg them out. And now that person's not showing up to training. So it's not ideal. I like to stay away from it if possible, but it is another tool that you have in your arsenal to get extra PR names. What I want you guys to just be getting across is that there's just so many different ways to create the numbers. So if you're not creating them, it's just, again, I want to make sure everyone knows, and this is just going back to it, making sure you know what to do. So you just have to execute this summer, not like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do because I don't have PR names. It's like, well, you do know what to do. We just got to actually take some action steps to make some things happen. Any other questions on recruiting program or anything like that? All right, we're going to hop right back into the next section, which is going to be to the daily schedule overview. What I'd like to go is we're going to go back through Brian Holman's elegance and simplicity and the big 3 objectives for each day. Okay, and then I'm going to do a schedule overview of what the daily schedule is. Now, this is from last summer. Okay, there will be some updates to this. Eddie's currently working on our day-to-day schedule, but just so you guys know, there's nothing to figure out this summer. You don't have to figure out what your schedule is going to be for your office. If you're a new BM, a new DM or a branch manager, you all will be on the exact same schedules every single day. Everyone will run their interviews at the exact same time. Everyone will have training at the exact same time. Everyone will have champions. Everything's the exact same. So everyone's on the exact same schedule for the summertime too. There might be some adjustments to this, but unless you have AMs, it's going to be the same schedule. People that have assistant managers that are not new managers, but they have you're more like a vet DM, they're going to have a slightly different schedule. But all that will be provided to you. But I want to start going through it today so you guys have a little bit more direction on exactly what this thing will look like. So let's go directly right over to these slides. And I, again, would recommend, watching this video, going back to the little schedule I sent earlier and having time in your schedule each and every single day to really be intentional about what you're learning and what you're training on. I think, again, going back through some of the SLC videos, which I can forward out to you, would be a good idea. So let's start off with Sunday. Okay. Sunday, what are the let me actually put this here. What are the big 3 objectives for Sunday? So you guys should have these ones down in your notes because we went over in the last TLA Prep. Yeah, Jess.
You want all 3 or just one of them?
Just list off all 3. You got it.
Fast start influence, so outgoing PDI, SMRA kickoff, and phone jam execution, averaging at least 5 to 7, and having 80% of reps there.
Yep, these 3 things are what you want to get down in your notes, and we did this in the last Monday NLG call, so potentially pull up your notes from that. Okay, let me actually pull this up. Fast starter. Let me see here. So pull up your notes from that, and we're going to finish off kind of what we did here before. 3 things on Sundays. Fast starter influence. Okay. There's nothing worse than when I see managers work an entire week to recruit people, get them into training, launch the training, and then you don't take their calls first weekend. Okay. You've got to make sure Sunday at 2:00, you're going to probably be pretty busy. There's got to be some morning check-ins that happen and influence with your fast start group on Sunday. And by the way, what am I promoting on Sunday PDI? What am I promoting at the end of every single PDI call that's happening on Monday?
Monday Champions Club.
Yep. And then also
advanced training for new people.
Yep. Advanced training. And then, so advanced training, which is mandatory. And then everybody else, the big thing I'm promoting all day on Sunday, Champions Club, Champions Club, Champions Club, Champions Club. Okay. If I launch 10 people from training, how many of those should I have in Champions Club on Monday morning?
Like 8.
Yeah, like literally the majority of the training class should be there on Monday, like 6 or 7. You might not get them all there the rest of the week, but Monday morning, you should have most of them there. And by the way, if you get them there Monday, it will be easier to get most of them there for the rest of the week. Okay, I want like 70% of the group confirmed for Champions Club on Monday morning. Now, not everyone's going to show. There's always going to be 1 or 2 people that didn't wake up on time for their first day. but that is the goal and objective. So making sure there's some faster influence, making sure that you have an SMRA kickoff meeting mixed into there. And this is your chance to really influence your SMRAs for the day. And again, making sure that meeting is fun, making sure that you're diving in, making sure that you're painting vision for them for the week, going over schedules or anything else like that. And the last thing is phone jam execution. Can you average a minimum of 5 demos ahead? Are you getting 80% attendance, 80% plus attendance on your team? If I've got 30 active reps, I should have about 24 to 25 reps in the meeting on Sunday. Okay. And the last thing is, the last thing about a good Wednesday or Sunday meeting is what are you doing to make sure that this person is excited to come back to the next one? What are you doing to make it fun? What are you doing to make it lively? What are you doing to make it exciting? Okay. If it's not fun, lively, and exciting, this will be their first and last PSP meeting that they go to. Do reps dread coming to your meetings, or are they actually excited? Is it actually the highlight of their week? I know that's something small, but I'll tell you right now, like that's a big, team night outs this summer is going to be huge for a lot of teams and things like that too. I know it's going to be huge for us in the pilot. Making a culture of fun inside the virtual work environment is important. All right, let's go over to Monday. Okay. Monday, staff meeting, AT1 execution, SMRA kickoff. Now, are any of you all actually having staff meetings this summer? Probably not. Maybe a couple of y'all, but most of y'all are not. The staff meeting is called the staff meeting with yourself. Okay. This is your planning. This is what you call power hour. All right. And last week I gave you want during staff meeting, you want to look at some reports and you want to do some projections. What are the 3 reports that you should probably be checking out on Vector Live each week to get some ideas of those recruiting numbers that we talked about?
Your PR set number, personal fire number, office set number,
Yeah. What's a report on Vector Live where you can see that stuff?
Manager efficiency report.
Manager efficiency report, receptionist statistics, and cycle report. Those are the 3 reports that you want to have written down. Manager efficiency report, receptionist statistics, and cycle report. You check out those 3 reports every single week. It will give you a pretty damn good idea of where your business is actually at. And then the next thing would be projections. 3 projections that we want to get. The weekly newsletter projection. So how many people are going to be on the newsletter this week? The rep projections, which is going through the whole entire team and putting a number next to every single person's head on what you expect them to do for that week. And then a weekly sales breakdown, which is taking your goal for the week and breaking it down by how much your office needs to sell per day to stay on track for that weekly sales goal. We will have a sheet already made for you this summer that we will provide at Kill Meeting. That will be one document that you can use and edit that already has these 3 things to plan out for your weekly power hour. So you can hop on there and just fill it out for your team each and every single week. So you don't have to figure all this stuff out by yourself. Okay, Tuesday, what's important on Tuesdays?
I'll go into the team setting up Wednesday, your team meeting attendance, driving attendance. That's the biggest.
Yep. Anything else? I mean, what's the other PPR move that we're going to make sure we execute this summer on Tuesday?
Day 4 PCs. Day 4.
Day 4 PCs. That's it. Okay, Tuesday, staff communication. Now, most of y'all aren't going to have a staff, so I'd probably take this one out, and this might be SMRA communication. What are we doing to make sure that your recruiting numbers are surging on a Tuesday? What are you doing to make sure that your PR numbers are surging? Tuesday is the recruiting surge day. Okay. You really need to max this out. You want to be thinking during the summertime, I'm going to be thinking, how do we get triple digits set, each week in our pilot? A lot of that comes from our Tuesday efforts. So, the second thing would be outgoing PDI between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Can we have a one-on-one conversation with every single person on our sales team? Okay. We want to be making sure that we're setting up a powerful team meeting with what we're doing with our Tuesday PDI. And you guys all have the Tuesday and Friday PDI benchmark calls and exactly how those go. And we've been over how to execute those. And the third thing is day 4 and day 11 PCs. So Tuesday, people that just had, you need to have a PC with most of your people in between advanced training 1 and in between advanced training 2. That's really your only chance to connect with them one-on-one. By the way, these PCs, if they're day 4, day 11, you don't need to do PDI to them if you've already got a PC scheduled. Okay, so portion of your time is PDI, a portion of your time is doing PCs with your best people. And again, you might not be able to get all of them in, but you've got to make sure at least allotting some time in your schedule to make sure you're connecting at least with your best people. Day 4 PCs is mapping out. They just finished their first weekend, mapping out the rest of their fast start. Day 11 PCs are arguably more important because this is where we lose reps. This is where we lost reps next summer. Got them through their fast start. Congrats, you're done with your fast start. Figure it out. We're not going to give you any coaching or guidance from here on out. We promote so much vision for their first 10 days, and then we are surprised when we don't give them any vision for the next 3 weeks, and then they don't want to work here anymore after 3 weeks after their fast start. You need to have a one-on-one to really talk about, hey, let's debrief your fast start. How are you feeling? What do you like about the job? What do you not like about it? Where are we going? What are some summer goals? Give them the SE1, SE2 dates. Get them thinking big. When's the next benchmark? Okay, cool. You're at $3,000 right now from your fast start. When are we getting you to 6K? What's the goal to get you to 6K by the end of the week, the end of the month? When are we getting you 10K? When's your dirty 30 birthday? Set some goals, benchmarks, give them some long-term vision. Got to be done with your team if you want to retain people this summer. Wednesday, what's important on Wednesday? Someone other than Jonathan.
Phone jam execution.
Okay, so Wednesday would be phone jam execution. That's one of them. Yep. What else?
Group recruiting activity.
Yep. And then team meeting execution. Phone jam execution, but 2 separate things. How well are you executing the phone jam? And then the team meeting is something separate in and of itself. There's the phone jam, the team meeting, and then there's a group recruiting activity. That's what's important for Wednesdays. Closing out the cycle, I would also put into here, closing out the cycle strong with PRs. It's your last day to make moves for the cycle. And even though it doesn't necessarily affect Thursday, you can get some same day set up on Wednesday, and it also starts to affect and build up towards next week's cycle. So phone jam execution. How many demos should I be averaging per head in a phone jam during the summertime?
5 to 7.
5 to 7. I would say target is 6 to 7. Okay, 6 to 7 is what you really want to be shooting for in your phone jam. 7, I would say, is good. 5 is below average. 6 is sufficient. Okay, 7 demos average is great, good. 5 is average. 6 is sufficient. 5 is a little bit below average. 5 is okay on a Sunday. You want to be above 5 on a Wednesday. How do we ensure? What's the number one thing that's going to ensure that our representatives are getting over 6 or 7 demos average booked in the team meeting? Who's going to be the number one group that's going to affect that average on a Wednesday night?
Fast start.
Fast starters. Adrian, can you elaborate?
Yeah, so ideally fast starters want to get above 10, and then the rest of your team is getting 7, and that averages out to 10.
Yeah. Your fast starter should be getting 10 plus. So this is where the 7 average comes from. What it really means is the rest of your team averages 5. Now, whenever I say averages, I want to be careful because the averages are not like everyone on your team should be booking 5. The averages, like most people on your team, should be booking like 7 or 8. And there's also a couple people on your team that book 1, 2, or 3 and bring your average back down to 5. That's your team. Then the fast starters should be booking 10 plus. That's what brings your average to 7. So the team's probably averaging around 5, with some people getting like 8 to 10, 7, 8 to 10. A couple people that barely, kind of jerked off in the phone jam and didn't do anything, and they've got 1 or 2, and they're averaging 5. And then your fast starters are booking over 10 plus. How do we make sure that our fast starters are able to book 10 plus on Wednesday night? Where's that created?
Names and numbers list, the activity they just did for advanced training.
Yep. Bingo. Advanced training 1. Nice job, Juliana. Advanced training 1, the assignment that's given to them in advanced training 1. Hey, making sure that you show up to Wednesday with 30 or 50, names and numbers. Now, some of y'all will be running AT1 this summer. Some of y'all will be doing it together with other people. Either way, it's not the AT1 assignment. It's how that assignment is driven on PDI. So when you talk to a fast starter Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, or on Wednesday before the team meeting, what should be follow at the end of every single conversation? What should you ask about?
Did you finish the assignment from AT1?
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, how are you doing with the assignment? How many names have you already gotten to 30 to 50 names and numbers on your Vector Impact app, or how are we pacing towards that? That's it. Again, simple assignment driving is just bringing awareness to the assignments. If they you ask about it on Monday, you also mention it on Tuesday, you also mention it on Wednesday, they're going to have it down when they show up on Wednesday. If they heard it assigned on Monday advanced training and you never said a word about it until they showed up for Wednesday advanced training 2, chances are they didn't do it. They forgot. Okay. They're not that organized. But when you're actually having conversations about, hey, how are you pacing? All right, cool. Let's make sure we get there before then. Hurry. Nice job. You just got 20 recommendations. How many is that putting you on your attack list now? That should be on every PDI conversation with a fast starter between Monday advanced training 1 finishing and Wednesday advanced training 2. Let's keep going through it. Thursday, what's important? What's the big 3?
Day 1 training. So facilitating that.
Yep. What else do you want to do on Thursdays?
Outgoing PDI.
Yep. And then
staff communication.
Yeah, you guys got it. Here's the other thing on Wednesdays, by the way, I forgot to just put on there. I talked about phone gym execution. I missed the other 2 bullets. Team meeting execution. Here's what I have underneath of that. Operating at a high level means you're teaching through recognition. Anything that you want your team to do, you teach through recognition. You want your team to start calling in from their demos more. Recognize the person that always calls in from their demos, like recognize the absolute shit out of them in the team meeting for calling in from their demos. People will start calling in from their demos. You want people to stop, having cancellations. Recognize the person that, always never gets cancellations because they do the firm up. Recognize the crap out of them in the team meeting. You want people to just get in the habit of, booking up 2 demos when one cancels. Make sure you give a story and recognize the rep that actually did that last week. Hey, I really want to recognize Audrey Cruz this week. Not only did she sell $1,000, but what's even the most impressive is how she responded when she had adversity. Audrey, last week you had a cancellation. What'd you do? Yeah, I went on the phone. I booked 2 more demos. Yeah, what ended up happening? I went and sold a homemaker. Cool. Guys, if you want to do this, is what you need to be doing every single week. Teach through recognition. Okay. Have a vision of what I'm building talk every single meeting. That's like half your team meeting is what we are building. That's why we did that exercise earlier today. What we're building is essentially the team meeting most weeks. It's recognition, what we're building, and, talking about your standards, and then make sure you're having fun. That's really it. Teach the recognition, have a vision / what I'm building talk about the standards that you want, the culture of your organization, and then make sure people are having fun. And there might be some kind of value teaching or something like that in there as well. And the last thing is a group recruiting activity, triple threat posts, SMRA posts, 3-way texting. Take advantage of people being in front of you during that week. Thursday, we're going to finish flying through this before we go to break. Okay. Thursday, staff communication, day 1 training, outgoing PDI. You can pretty much scratch the staff communication. It's really day 1 training and outgoing PDI are going to be the 2 most important things to execute on a Thursday. You want to live in the airtight window that is today, tomorrow, and the next day. Okay. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday when you're going into Thursday. Thursday at PDI, this is a good day to do some WhatsApp PDI. Hey, Joey, you just had your first team meeting last night. Hope it went really well for you. I wanted to see what you took away from it and what you're excited about going into this week. Debrief the team meeting, like follow up on some of the things that you talked about in that meeting. Again, reps need to hear things in repetition before it ever sinks things through. Okay. Another topic for you guys to understand is like reps typically need to hear things 5 times before they start doing it. 5 times. Okay. So if you really want people to start doing something, you talk about it Wednesday night, then you follow up on PDI and talk about it again on Thursday. Hey, by the way, what'd you think about Audrey Cruz last week? What you did when she got those demo cancellations? Yeah. Hey, you got 4 cancellations last week. Imagine if you did, 8 more appointments versus 4 less appointments, how much more you would have sold. Yeah. Can you start committing to and making sure you're following up on the things and they're hearing it over and over and over again. If you want that to start being part of your culture and your team in the office. Friday. Okay. It's day 2 of training. You got to nail the day 2 phone jam. Every rep has to leave with how many demos from training on Friday?
10.
What's the number? 10. Okay. That is one of those metric numbers of like, hey, after recruiting, your recruiting funnel gets the launch percentage. That's the first number that matters. That's the number that affects $1,000 average. If they don't have 10 demos on average, you will not have $1,000 faster average. You will not have a $2,000 to $3,000 plus PPR for the summertime. If they don't have 10 demos when they leave training. That's the most important benchmark and number on day 2 of training. You got to nail the PR talk. That's your fuel. And then making sure you're doing some day 2 PCs before training gets started. Especially if you're facilitating training, your day 2 PCs are the most important thing. This is their chance to actually connect with you as a manager. Someone else has been running their training the whole day. So you did that little day 1 PC, but day 2 PCs where you actually get to coach them, build a relationship, and start talking about the goals to the rest of their fast start, and make sure that they're prepped well going into day 2. And then, making sure you're doing, that's basically it. Making sure they're seeing their best 5 top 10 people first during that day 2 PC. Other things is PR, goal, commitment combos. So this is a chance to check in with staff or other managers on your team, check in with your SMRAs to see what they're committed, or yourself, by the way. This will be me checking in with you all on Fridays, looking to see where you're going to finish off with the cycle number and making sure you're committed to it. The last thing, this would be like a staff night. Saturdays, we have our divisional PR kickoff meeting that will be at 8:15 a.m. every single Saturday morning. We'll do that kickoff, get your 10 set for the day, fast starter communication, closing your first weekend sales, and also making sure that you have time for rest and rejuvenation, on Saturdays. Now, there's a 4 to 6 week window during the summertime that is the peak time. If there's ever summers where, like Andrew, like there's some managers that do that. They're like, Andrew, I'm going to work my ass off all Saturday too. Cool. If you want to do that, make sure you're doing it during the peak time, right? I'm all about working hard, and there's also a right time to do it and a wrong time to do it. Okay. There's a time to grind, go hard in the paint, work as many hours as possible. Who cares how many hours you're working, like during that, when you're a rep, you're an SE2. Cool. And that's, not, you have to be sustainable. You have to be protecting your energy. You have to be making sure that you can make it through the whole summer. Okay. So if you're going to do it at the right time where you get the most ROI and bang for your buck when recruiting is happening the most. Not during, don't decide in August now you want to start really cranking it. It's not really timely of like, all right, you can do that. It's kind of a waste of time now. You should have done that probably back in May and June. So, but making sure on Saturdays, that's your day where you're getting 10 set as a manager. I try to knock it. That's why we do the call early in the morning. So that way you can be really focused for the first half of the day. And ideally, you're checking out and getting a little rest and rejuvenation for yourself in the back half of the afternoon and evening, before you go into Sunday. You can make those choices of how you structure your schedule. I don't really care when you get the PR set. If they're from the office, if they're from home, if they're from by the pool while you're drinking a margarita, doesn't really matter. You just got to make sure you get your 10 set on a Saturday too. And by the way, if you're always locked up in an office and stuff like that too, I would actually recommend going to the pool and drinking a margarita while you get your PR set. Have a little bit of like fun and enjoyment and relaxation. Get out of, if you're like stuck at your desk every single day working from your office, like go out and get some sunlight on Saturday. Seriously, take PDI, by the pool or something else. Like make sure you can be engaged in what you're doing and still get it done, or rip through it in the morning and then go do something else in the day. I'm a big fan of sunlight. So get some. Saturdays are your day to do a little bit of that. All right. Let me go through this. I'm going to exit out of this. That's the objectives of every single day. Schedule overview. Questions on that? Questions on that? Any questions on the big 3 for every day? Let me ask you all this. Do you all feel like, I know we've gone over this a lot, but I'm trying to drill this in. Do you all feel like you're getting to a place where you have a pretty good understanding of like what's important on a day-to-day basis? Because again, I'm trying to get you guys a place where you can just execute and not have to think about, well, what am I supposed to be doing today? Cool. Let's talk about the schedule. Okay. So I'm going to go through this fast because we're going to send out a brand new schedule and this will be provided to you all. We'll go through this in detail during our cap sessions in March. Okay. So, and I just want to re-echo this. There's a lot of like nitty gritty stuff that you're going to be wondering about. You're going to be provided that. We're going to cover it in our cap. Like that's why you'll see second year branches aren't too worried. And they're like, because they just kind of already know everything's coming and they'll have everything before summertime. First year branches are usually freaking out because there's like stuff that you don't know yet and you don't really know when you're going to learn it, but it will happen before summertime comes around. Okay. So we will have our caps and we'll go over dates and calendars and what the daily schedule is and all those stuff that you're like wondering about that you don't have right now. You will get that, which is why you want to focus on what's important right now is getting good at these functions. Okay. This is what you want to be focusing your energy into. The other stuff if you're stressing about it, it's not important for you to put your energy into that right now. We will go over that stuff and you will have the support here. But this is really daily schedule. Monday through Friday, 8 to 9:30. We're going to have champions clubs. Okay. Advanced training 1s on Monday. And you're typically going to have 2 interviews on Mondays. You'll have 2 interviews on Tuesdays. You'll probably have 2 interviews on Wednesdays. On Thursdays, you'll have one interview. You won't have any interviews Friday, Saturday. And then if you can pull off an interview on Sunday, you will. Okay. But 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday. The schedule is a little bit different at the beginning of the summer. At the beginning of the summer, that's why it says May 14th. And then after May 21st, when students are still in school, we're still running a fall and spring schedule, meaning the trainings are in the afternoon. So that interview you run on Thursday is going to be in the mornings. On mid-May, when students get out of school, we shift trainings back earlier, and the interview is ran after training, not before training on Thursdays. Here's the thing, it's important. You have to have an interview in your schedule Thursday to Sunday. Okay, everyone's going to be able to pull these off. With training, it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, but you can't go, like, you can't have no interviews in your schedule Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. That means if someone wants to schedule an interview at Wednesday at 12 o'clock, the next available day that they can schedule it is on Monday next week, 5 days out, which basically is guaranteeing that they will not show up to the interview. And that means all of your PR efforts from here till here are basically wasted away. All of your mailers that are calling in to get scheduled for interviews can't get scheduled for interviews. So as a branch or a new district, you're not going to have one every single one of these days, but there has to be at least one interview. I always between Thursday to Sunday. And then the rest of the stuff is pretty straightforward. You run a couple interviews each day. There's time to call PRs, which again, that is the most important time of the day, is making sure you have time to get your PR set number. So on Saturdays, how many PRs should we be setting? Like how do we get to our 20 for the week? 10 on Saturdays. That's the number is 10. 10 is how many you want to be setting on a Saturday. That's like the number one key of like getting you over 20 for the week. Sundays, you're going to set probably 5. It's unrealistic to try to run the office and set 10 PRs on a Sunday. It's just unrealistic to try to do that this summer. You can get 5 though, around what you got going on. You can definitely get 5. Okay. You get 10 on Saturday, 5 on a Sunday. How many should we be getting on Monday? Hold up your hands. Yep. 5 to 7. Okay. And then you finish it off on Tuesday with another 5 to 7. Wednesday's a makeup day. This is how you get your 20 though. It's 10 on Saturdays, 5 on Sundays, 5 on Mondays, 5 on Tuesdays. That would get you to 25. So it gives you a little bit of buffer room there as well for a day that you didn't quite hit that benchmarking number. Juliana?
Yeah, so I have a quick question about Sunday PJs. And it's basically like, what should I be doing while they PJ? Like, I know I can set PRs, but I also want to drive the phone jam. So I just don't know exactly what I should be doing while they're phone jam.
That's a good question. Okay. So it's actually a really good question. And it depends. The answer is it depends, right? So everyone else, let me give you a couple scenarios. I've got 4 reps in my PSP meeting. Okay. What should most of my energy be going into from 2 to 9 p.m.?
Recruiting. Calling
PRs. You set 10 PRs that Sunday, not 5. You said 10 at least. Okay. I don't get like that. This is going back to Brian Holman. Last summer they were really sucking going into the summer, and he told his office and staff, "Hey, there is nothing else able to happen in this office anymore. I don't want you guys running anything in this office if it does not involve recruiting and hiring SMRAs. That's it. The next 3 weeks, I don't care about the 6 shitty reps that we have on our team that are causing us to sell $1,000 total for the week for the past 3 weeks. Literally, there's no meetings, there's no functions that could possibly matter. The only thing that matters right now is hiring SMRAs. That's all we're doing for the next 3 weeks straight. We're going to go out and hire 30 SMRAs. I don't care about the sales. I don't care about what reps we have on our teams. We're restarting this and we're focusing on this area." Similar thought process when you're going, all right, if you don't have a lot of reps there, then focus on PRs. Juliana, if you have, I would say, again, if you're at the place where you're getting, maybe you have 15 to 20 reps in your team, now you're probably just setting 5 PRs and driving the jam and working a little bit with your SMRAs here as well. If you ever got to a point where you have 50 reps on your team and you're alone as a branch manager, you're probably not even setting PRs. You're probably setting more PRs on Saturday and then finding a way to knock out some more on Monday. And you're probably just really engaged with the team on that Sunday. So that's a good question, Juliana. And the answer is it kind of depends. Yep. And with the PRs, by the way, here's a quick key to get the PRs. If I want to make sure I set up 5 PRs, when should I set up some of those PRs? Like, when should I set up at least like 3 of those?
With the SMRAs.
Bingo. SMRA kickoff meeting. Okay. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're hitting your 5. It's before the reps come online and you already have to be busy, and you're teaching as you do your job, right? Like you're not having to teach and then also do work outside of it. It's like, as you do work, you're teaching by osmosis. Like they can just do the PR calls in front of them and let them listen to you. And you're teaching as you do it with them. It's killing, 2 or 3 birds with one stone. Okay. Any other questions on schedule, guys? All right. It's 11:35. Are you all cool with just powering through, finishing off, or do we need a break? Do we need a 5-minute reset, or do we just power through?
Let's keep it going.
I'm gonna take 5. Let's take 5. 11:35 right here. Come back at 11:40. I'm gonna spend 15 minutes in the SMRA program. We'll wrap up with some what's important now. Okay. Need everyone on by 11:39, please. Take 5 minutes. Let's get ready to rock and roll. I'm going to dive in, give a quick 15-minute SMRA overview, and then we'll wrap up with some what's important now. Cool. So first thing, here's my quick thoughts. So some of you guys were in our region call on Wednesday. Parker Greavy gave a talk to our entire region about basically taking the SMRA program that we developed and we gave them and then kicking our ass with it. He had done, I'll actually just pull up what I sent into our leaders chat to give you guys some quick stats on, again, this is just reconviction and the SMRA program that I don't really think we need, but I think it's just good reminders here. Okay. So a couple of different things that he had stated. So going into December, just so you all know, he had sold about, I don't even know, I think he recruited 8 reps total in November. It was like 6 reps in October and like 5 reps in September. So about 20 reps for the whole entire fall going into December. He was $450K away from his $2 million goal with about 4 weeks left of the year. $450,000 away. Okay. He had 3 training seminars in December. On his first training seminar, he had 64 people scheduled. The next one, 116 people scheduled. The next one, 126. So he had 306 people scheduled for training in the month of December. Okay. They ended up hitting the $2 million goal, did over $450,000, mostly in new business in the last month of December because of the SMRA program and how big they went with the SMRA program and used that to launch out their actual summertime too. Okay, this has massive potential. And again, the mentality I would think is, how do I get 2 people from every school? So let me give you guys a divisional update on where our SMRA program is at and where our SMRA program is headed. I think this is an important update for everybody, okay? Because there's been some experimenting that has happened over the past couple of months or the past year or so with our program. And this is the direction that we will take, is that 80% of our effort should be on social media messaging and 20% as PR calling. Meaning, okay, if you need to set 60 PRs per week as a branch or new DM, how many of those are coming from you at least? 20. So how many should be coming from your SMRAs at least? 40. Okay. How many hours on the schedule do you need to get your SMRAs to book up 40 PRs?
Is it 4 times 40?
Nope. It's divided by 1.5. So they should be booking 2 to 3 PRs per hour. On average, call it 1.5 per hour is like our managerial standards of like what it should be in our mind. We're promoting 2 to 3 per hour, what they really should be shooting to get set. So if you need to get 40 PRs scheduled, you're going to need about 27 hours on the schedule. So, or 25 times 1.5, it should be equal about 40 hours. So only 25 hours, $250 a week is paying for your PR calling. The rest is all going towards social media. Okay. So now 25 hours, what does that look like? That could look like 2 girls that are really good calling for like 13 hours or so each. That could be 4 girls calling for like 5 or 6 hours each. That could be 1 person that you have on crushing it, scheduling 40 PRs themselves personally and working for 25 hours a week. But you have to have your PR callers. Okay. But when I say go big for SMRA recruiting, I'm not talking about training 20 PR callers this summer. We're not doing that. Okay. You're going to have 3 or 4 PR callers that you should always have. Now, if I don't have PR callers, then the first thing I'm focused on is getting PR callers, not social media messengers. But assuming I already have 4 active, PR callers, all the girls that I'm hiring and training every single week are going to social media messaging. If one of the PR callers quits, if one of them stops doing as hot, if I decide I want to go bigger with PR calling, I can pluck one of these girls that are doing social media messaging and train them on how to call PRs and bring them into our PR calling department. But most of the girls that you've trained to be SMRAs this summer will never call a PR. And I want to make sure that's clear. Most of the girls that you work this summer will never work more than 10 hours in a week. That should be the max. Most of these people should be scheduled 3 to 5 hours a week. This should be promoted as a very flexible, not that flexible, but very flexible-ish part-time job that they can work, making money from social media, doing it from their home, hopping on Zoom. It's nothing crazy. Okay. Now the goal is we are hiring a bunch of SMRAs, a couple people from all these different networks to help us tap into these schools. And you're only paying out, like that's what I'm saying. You can have 15 SMRAs on payroll and only pay out $500 for the week and, receptionists pay. I've also seen managers have 4 people on payroll and pay out $800 for the week. We don't want to do that. Okay. So it's about big recruiting, small hours to protect your budget. And then the other thing is like most of these girls, they're only making like $40, $50 for the week, which is cool because they're working for a couple hours from their home, from their phone, doing nothing. And if they want more hours and they're good, you can always train them to be a PR caller, or they can go into sales. Okay. And that's the incentive of like, hey, if you want to be making more money, our salespeople are making like thousands of dollars. So something else that I don't know when exactly, if it will be weekly, bi-weekly, but this next upcoming summer, I'll be doing an SMRA SLDM. Okay. An SMRA SLDM. So the goal will be to take the top SMRAs all the SMRAs in the division, get them onto there. You'll probably pay them for the hour that they're on that call with me, but it will be more than worth it. And essentially all I'm going to do for an hour is basically a, cut through college, TLA, getting into assistant manager leadership, development talk, just like I do with a regular SLDM, and getting our reps fired up about advancing. But I'm going to get our SMRAs fired up about advancing, and them knowing that they're on the fast track for advancement as SMRAs. On the last 30 minutes, I'm just going to be basically selling them on why they should go into the sales job. Okay. So there's been times where we have required SMRAs. Oh yeah, you have to do sales training. You have to do the PR calling. You have to go through this rotation. We're not going to go that direction this summer. It's going to be a social media job. We'll pluck people into PR calling, and we want to not require, but inspire these SMRAs to chase after the sales position and chase after the sales role. And if you're recruiting a lot of them, not all of them are going to convert to sales. But if I'm recruiting 10, like 20 for the summer, I should get at least 10 of those girls to go into the sales. But the intentional conversations, getting them to my SLDM, will do just that. And then they're going to come back to it to you being like, I want to be a manager. Yeah, I kind of want to go into sales now. And then you get them set up for a training. Okay. And I would also pay them for training. Hear what I say. I would pay your SMRAs for training this summer. Okay. This will help. There's a weird kind of thing. And now here's what I would clarify on paying them for training. Okay. I'm going to promote to our SMRAs, and this is what I'm going to recommend across the division. I'll probably end up promoting this at the SLDMs too, that, hey, none of our sales reps get paid for training. But if you're an SMRA, we already think you're a more valuable person on the team and know you crush it. So we're cool with, we'll pay you for training. Training's 14 hours. We'll pay you $150 bonus just for completing training. Now, we're not going to pay you to go through training and not do the job. So if you just sit through training and don't ever start the job, we're not going to pay you for that. As long as you do your first 10 appointments, you'll get a $150, bonus just for completing training. And then also you're going to get the base pay, $15 per appointment, plus all your commissions off your sales in your first week. If you want to stop and quit after your first 10 demos and you don't want to do the sales training, just stick to SMRA stuff, by the way, you can totally do that, but you need to at least just do your first 10 appointments. So what that means, by the way, is as a manager, you make 25% off their first $1,000 in sales. So they literally need to sell $450 for you to profit off that $150 that you paid for them to go to training with. And I mean, if an SMRA goes through training and they do 10 presentations, they don't sell $500, then we mess something up, seriously, but most of these girls should pop off if they're going through training and completing 10 demos their first weekend. So I'm totally cool paying the $150, knowing that they'll be better, knowing that this is also an investment into future assistant manager develop. Because these girls, if they go out there and sell, they will become your best TLA candidates. They've already got PR calling experience. They've already got social media experience, and you already have a better relationship with them, and they know how to sell and perform on a high level too. Yeah, exactly. And I paid $500, but I would not pay $500. I just say $150. This is the mentality that I want y'all thinking about. How do I launch 5 SMRAs from training every single week? every single week of the summer. How do I launch 4 or 5? Even if I'm staffed, how can I get more on my team? How do I keep the hours low to protect my budget? No overspending on SMRA program this summer. You know, this is a cost that there's a really high ROI on, unless you're paying girls for hours if they're not getting 2 to 3 numbers. Like that's the benchmark. Because when they work, they should get 2 to 3 phone numbers per hour. If they're not getting that, cut them. They're not worth it. They're not creating results for you in your office. Okay. And then really creating a culture of inspiration of getting as many of these girls. And once you get this ball rolling, it will happen organically. Like all it's going to take is like 3 or 4 of your SMRAs to pop off with the sales job. And then all the girls are going to want to become sales reps too. You know, it also works backwards too. If you have a bunch of girls that you kind of get to do it, but they don't really do it, or they don't do 10 appointments, then it's going to sort of downward spiral. And none of your SMRAs want to ever go into sales because their first girls went into it and it didn't work out for them. So creating a culture. I want to get you the right thoughts and mentality for how big we want to go with this for the summertime. Your ability to execute this will be, you know, the starting point of your summertime. Harvesting handles. That's what we've got to do right now. And there's 2 things right now that need to happen. It's social media benchmarks, but keep in mind your Instagram profiles are just as important, if not more important, than your social media attack list handles. Okay. Making sure you're being intentional. Look, I keep trying to explain this to the other DVMs. Growth to success can source for you. Growth to success. I want you all to know this. If you literally do nothing with the social media benchmarks, growth to success will still be able to go out and find all the people for you if you put in no work into this. So the value of you doing this is that you can be more intentional about it. Growth to success is not going to find the most popular people in every single school in your market. They're not going to find who's the sports athletes, who's the valedictorians, who's the girls that are really popular and have 10,000 followers. They're not going to do that. They can find you people that live in your territory that have 1,500 followers and are SMRAs. You know what I mean? So if you're just kind of like putting names in the spreadsheet right now just to kind of get the assignment done, and you're not intentionally thinking about it with a recruiter's mindset of who the girls that I actually want to target, you're missing the point of the program. You're putting a lot of work into something that, you know, literally you're paying for a company to do for you this summer. You know, you want to be intentional about who are the people's handles that I'm actually getting and making sure that you're being intentional about that as you actually go through it. Next thing would be setting for interviews. Okay. Because of time period, we're not going to go to this too much, but we call the scheduler interviews. It's the same things that make a good PR call, building good rapport with them, making sure they know the time, making sure that it's set up in your schedule ahead of time. And making sure you're calling the girls within a good time frame from the time that they actually applied and gave you that phone number. Training, there's 2 parts to training. Okay. Just so you all know, everyone here will be responsible for running their own training next summer. Okay. So you will need to run your own, everyone will be running their own training for SMRAs. This is something that I would start to review a little bit more as we get closer to the summertime. Now, just so you all know from the DVM mindset, here's what I'm working on. I'm working on having something set up where either myself or somebody else is running a divisional SMRA training each and every single week of the summertime. So you have something to plug your people into. Okay. However, we don't have that set up yet, and it's getting pretty close to summer. So I'd rather tell you guys we're not going to have it, be prepared to run it, than tell you we're going to have it, and then I spring it on you last second. Oh, sorry, you're going to have to run your own SMRA trainings. So know that I'm working on that in the background. But as of now, y'all are all running your own SMRA trainings on a weekly basis. So the first SMRA training is 2.5 hours to 3 hours long. All it is introing them to the team, you know, getting them adjusted on what we're going to do on social media. They create a top 10 to 20 list, and we set up the Sunday. That's really it. We're just explaining the details, connecting with the SMRAs, getting their top 10 to 20 list in training, and then we set up the first Sunday shift. And the first Sunday shift is part 2 of training. This is where they'll start messaging. This is their first Sunday kickoff meeting, the first time they actually start sending out social media messages, doing some observation of some calling. This is their first Sunday. And then from there, it's just daily management, using contests to drive, making sure you treat your SMRAs just like the reps. They need some PDI too. They need some PCs too. They need some check-ins. Okay. You got to give them a schedule as an employer before the week starts. Like, you need to make sure your schedule for your SMRAs is done on Friday, that you're going to hand to them on Sundays for that upcoming week. You know, and again, you're keeping most girls very, very low hours. So if someone's like, I want more hours, it's like, cool, we only got you scheduled for these shifts. If someone doesn't make it to this shift, or someone calls out, you can take their shift there. You can be on call for these days to make sure that you have enough staffing and shifts covered for what you're actually running and doing. Making sure that you have consistent staffing for your network with your SMRA program. Again, 2 to 3 girls from every single school in your market is what you want to be targeted towards. And I would literally have a list of that throughout the summertime of like every time I hire a girl from a certain school or I train her, cool, I've gotten 2 from Ransom this summer. I still need, 2 girls from LaSalle. We haven't gotten any from that school. I don't have any from, Hialeah yet. I don't have any from this school. I do have 1 from this school. We need to get 1 more here, 1 more here. Have that sheet already made for you so you're intentional about who you're hiring. And when you offer like bounties towards your SMRAs or bonuses to get more SMRAs than teams, it should be, targeted like, hey, I want people from this school. I want who knows this person in this network. Like really being intentional. This is what Trey Ketchum does such a good job of like, they know who people are. They're like, hey, who knows this guy named Joey Piga? Does anyone know him? Like they know the people that they want to recruit. They have them on the list. They've been targeting the whole summer. Every week they're asking, hey, who knows this person? Who knows this person? Who knows this person? Who can get them in here? And a lot of times it's been hit up 3 or 4 times, but then one of their actual good friends, oh, I know them really well. Yeah. Hit them up, send them a message. And making sure being targeted about who we're actually attacking with our SMRA program this summer. And as a reminder, this is all cut and paste. It's all going to be in the folder for you. I would review the SMRA calling script. I would review the SMRA interview. And I'd also review the actual SMRA training. There's videos that are linked into that training to make it easier to do and easier to actually run. So let me come up for some Q&A. Any questions at all on anything related to our SMRA program right now? Adrian.
Less of a question, more of a thought. Just going back to like takeaway that I'm just thinking of, just literally listening to you. Reason why I put like I'd pay $500 for an SMRA is just because like I'm kind of joking. Like I actually would. I'd pay $1,000 if I could. And the reason why is just simply like just like as soon as you get an SMRA to sell, like you can just add that person. If they get over to 10K, you can add that person to a TLA candidate. In my opinion, I think that's where our company's going to move towards as far as like any SMRAs going into like sales, they do really well like that. They basically are an AM. They can go straight into an AMI position, start setting PRs for you while they're selling. And then those are the easiest ones. I think of Chloe, Corey, Taylor, my girlfriend, Nicole, Alyssa Sublet, every single person, they started off SMRA, sold at a high level, TLA cabinet.
Yep. And that's the same thing too. Like think about it for me from a division manager perspective. Why would I want to take out time to work with SMRAs every single week and commit my time on an SLDM to them? Well, because I know if we execute this at a high level, that's going to lead to better development than we've ever had of any summer by executing and actually converting our SMRAs to sales reps and developing them then as leaders for the summertime. So great point, Adrian. Jess?
Yeah, I do have a question. I know that on a talk in a previous TLA, Alex talked about like setting like standards with SMRAs of like when they're going to go through rep training. So what would that look like if we're not moving in that direction? Would you just promote the position just as is?
Yeah, I think again, I think we're going to move in the direction of inspire and not require. Meaning I think if we're going to require it, the best practices is, day 1 of training, you're setting them up for their sales training. You're setting them up for the stuff like that's the best way to execute it if it's just a requirement. But I think we're going to lean towards the direction of the other thing too, is it just gets a little tricky. We can't really require SMRAs that are paid employees to sit through an unpaid training, so I think part of it is just like, most of these girls are going to work 3 to 5 hours a week. If they don't want to, it's very, very low commitment to the job on their end, so we're not going to require them to like, hey, you're only making $30 to $50 a week. Now we want you to go through a 14-hour training that you're not going to be paid for, and we're going to require you to do it. Like that doesn't seem right in a line. But I think it's just really making sure like from day 1, you're just promoting the sales job and getting them excited about it, pointing towards the testimonials. And then I think really a lot of it's just going to be set up by getting your SMRAs to my SLDM. Like that's what's going to set it up. And then from there, having the follow-up conversation and getting them scheduled for training. Ideally, coming back out of that event, hey, what, and it's just 3 questions. What'd you think? What are you thinking now? What's the game plan? The game plan would be like, when are you setting them up for training?
Okay, so then would the SMRA interview script be changed?
SMRA interview script will be updated a little bit before March co meeting. So it's going to be updated a little bit before then. Yeah, we have a couple different documents that will be updated by our March kill meeting. We'll have all that ready for you. So by March, by the way, that meeting, you'll have a folder that has every buttoned up document with every program and system on it. There's a couple of things that, and by the way, still look at the SMRA interview. It's not a major change of difference. There'll be a couple sentences that are adjusted and changed just based off of how we promote certain things. The program, the interview, best practices, everything is still fundamentally the same in its core. So nothing's going to be changed at a super high level going into our meeting in March. We're just updating things to make them a little bit more up to speed on what our best practices are going into the summertime. Cool. We'll take one other question and we're going to wrap up here real quickly, just some assignments. Juliana?
I just wanted to clear something up really quickly. It's not really a question, but they go from, we hire them as an SMRA and they can either go, everybody starts texting and then like our best people start calling.
Everyone goes into social media. Okay. And then as needed, you can train girls to become PR callers. That's basically what it is. So half the girls will never even learn how to call PRs. If you're at the very beginning of the summer, all of them are learning how to call PRs, like your first few SMRAs, because you need to get PR callers ASAP. And then after that, it's like staffing and upgrading. So it's just, hey, are my current PR callers good? No, the new girls that I just hired for SMRAs would be a lot better than the other ones I trained. So I'm going to train these people to take over their positions. Now I've got 3 or 4 that are pretty consistent, active. Like once you find some good ones, they're consistent with it, you don't need to usually do too much more maintenance. And that's the thing is if you're really massively hiring for SMRAs, it's going to give you a lot of candidates and options to find 3 girls that are really good at calling PRs for the summertime. And that's all. It's all about just making sure you have 3 in the little roster. Maybe 1 person on backup. Cool. Audrey?
Yeah. So let's say you have someone who's not in line with the standards where they're not getting 2 to 3 numbers per hour. After how many hours or shifts, like how many hours would you pay out before you cut them?
3 shifts.
3 shifts.
Yeah. Just kind of like with most things, you get three chances. First time it happens, there's going to be a conversation. Hey, Audrey, I noticed, you doing the shift. You just had a 2.5 hour shift though. We only came up with 2 numbers. Just so you know, the standard for us to be paying you for this to even be worthwhile for us, because right now you're just costing us money. You've got to be getting at least 2 to 3, names, numbers over social media. So I can give you some tips if you're struggling with it, but if you're just not sending out enough messages fast enough, like we're just not going to be able to give you more. There's a lot of other girls that want hours. We're not going to be able to give you more hours if you're not able to like meet these standards and results. So, let me give you some tips and let's make sure it's better for next time. Hey, Audrey, this is the second time this has happened. We've already had a conversation about this or what the standards are. I'm really going to need, in fact, this is the last time I'm going to have this conversation with you. If we have another shift where you can't be hitting these standards, then that would be your last shift. And then if I have it the third time, it's done. So really you give them like a week pay cycle. If they're not doing it for a week, they're gone the next week. Or you just start lowering their hours to non-existent. Yeah. You don't have to really fire people, by the way, as SMRAs. You just take them off the schedule. Cool. So you avoid some tough conversations. Just like, yeah, we just don't have hours for you right now because there's people that get better results that are going to be working this week. If someone cancels out, I'll let you know. Cool. All right, ladies and gents, we're at the top of the hour here. So let me just fly through. Give me 2 minutes of your time and we'll wrap up with some quick questions, thoughts, and assignments. All right, take a quick second to go through your notes for the day. Look at your notes, make sure they're organized. You're all going to email those over to Eddie at the end of today. You can take photos. If you took written notes, just take photos and send them to him. If you typed them out, you can just copy and paste. If you send him a document, you can send that to him. Whatever it is, everyone should have Eddie's email at this point in time. Okay, I want everyone after this call is over, and don't be that person that forgets. I want everyone to post their top 2 or 3 biggest takeaways or light bulbs from today's meeting today. I thought we had a pretty good session today. It really seems like everyone's starting to develop a deeper understanding of again, the how the business works, which I think is important. And just know, again, if there's anything that you don't have confidence right now in, work on that. Anything that's making you less confident right now, work on that. That's what you want to be working on right now. Is confidence is so key going into the summer, which is why I think just the more videos that you can watch, the more training, the more immersed you can get yourself in. Remove whatever areas of I'm not really sure about that, and just give yourself to a place of confidence. you're just going to execute a lot better when you're feeling like all I have to do is execute versus like I have to figure things out. I have to think about things while I'm doing things in summertime. Two different types of energy to go into the summertime with. So to wrap things up, here's just some friendly reminders of assignments. We'll be continuing to review and debrief. You went in the locker room first. So, just a chapter a week is kind of what we're looking at. By March kill meeting, we want to be done with chapter 6. Okay. I know there's some of you all that have not finished this yet or not complete with chapter 3. So let's make sure that we're making moves on that. Social media benchmarks by Monday. Okay. I want to be able to confidently say that every single person in our division got this done. Right now, we're not pacing towards that way. I've messaged you if I've had some concerns, but we got to make some moves from some of you all. We cannot be getting behind on this. You will get behind and you won't be able to catch up. You will be less than 2,000 people on your list going into the summertime. So no one under 500 on Monday. And then I'm going to, before our next NLG call, or probably after Monday, I'll announce it to you. I need everyone to kind of submit me what you're currently thinking for like your office plan next summer. Where are you getting a physical office with other people and sharing it? Are you getting a WeWork? Are you working out of somebody else's office? I'm really going to advise you guys to try to stay away from working from home this summer. I would just highly recommend, again, stay away from working from home in general or just being in a home environment. Scott has already voiced to me multiple times that he doesn't want a bunch of branch managers living together and trying to run their offices out of the same place this summer. It's not the best idea. So, just send me what your proposal is and what you're thinking about. Right now I'll have a Google form prepared for that. But that's really what's important, guys, right now. I'm going to also, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send out a list of videos. If you're looking to take your training to the higher level and really kind of execute on the schedule that I sent in earlier, like, hey, making sure you have an hour in your schedule every day, doing the whole, I'm going to work 40 hours a week and really commit to myself. I want to give you guys some videos that I would add to the list of what I feel like is important for you guys to be watching, getting good at, and learning right now. So I'm going to go ahead and send that into the NLG chat. I'm sending you the list of SLC talks, the best talks from SLC this year. And then I also sent you the Summer Assistant Manager Candidate Conference Call series. If you click on that document, there's a list of assignments. Those videos are some of the best videos. I picked the best 4 or 5 videos. They're for assistant manager training, but these are really good videos for you all. These are like the best videos that I think that we have. They're even better for managers than they are for assistant managers. So I would start that. These are things that you can start going through in your own time. And let's make sure that we're going to ready to rock and roll to show up to the division meeting very, very powerfully as a united group and team. I'll stick around if there's any questions for people to wrap up, but let's take a pick. You want to take a pick, Juliana? All right. 3. Wait, I'm waiting for Juliana's message to go away. Let's take a pick. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Great. Juliana, were you saying let's take a pick at the kill meeting when everyone's in there in person, or are you saying right now?
No, this was good. This was good. I'm happy about it.
All right, great.
I thought you were about to take a picture of like something you put on a keynote. I wasn't smiling or anything. Can we take another one?
No. I'm sure we'll have some photos in person. Let's get ready to rock and roll before a kill meeting. I will see you all then. Please post your top biggest 2 to 3 takeaways and be thoughtful about them. Like, I really want to actually read these today and not just like post a light bulb. Like, this is not for like getting other people to post. I actually just want to hear like what's resonating from you today and like what's giving you some clarity and some confidence coming out of today's meeting is what I'm looking to hear. So let's post those up. Have an awesome weekend. Let's get ready to rock the crap out of this March Madness push. Talk to y'all soon.